Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Josh Bailey.
Yes, hello everyone and welcome to a blockbuster Football Live here on your Saturday afternoon. It's an early start, 12:40, because that's a big reason for that, and that is Manchester City v Liverpool, these two titans of the Premier League. They've come face to face, some of the fiercest, most enthralling clashes over the last few years. They've captivated all of us when they've come face to face. And today they meet once again. Manchester City, after doing the treble last season, they're widely considered the best team in the world. And standing in front of them today are Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool. Over the last few years, as we said, they've been able to go toe-to-toe with them. But today is a completely different story. For Manchester City, they're aiming to beat Liverpool in consecutive league fixtures for the first time since a four-match sequence between 1935 and 1937. For Liverpool, their only win in their past 14 Premier League away games to City was by 4-1 in November 2015 in Jurgen Klopp's first season in charge. Since then, they've drawn 5, lost 8. So they've not had a fantastic record here, have they? Matt Smith meeting at the Etihad. 0-0 so far, 12 minutes gone, and they're looking like a side that haven't won in 13 games.
Yes, good afternoon, Josh. Good afternoon, Football Live listeners. It's the opening 11, 12 minutes, I would probably say about 65% of possession and 65% has been swaying towards Manchester City. They had a very good chance about 2 minutes ago. Phil Foden picked up a very loose pass from Alisson, who, both goalkeepers we know are very comfortable with having the ball at their feet, almost like another centre-half for both sides. But Alisson tried to play out towards Tsimikas at left-back, and Phil Foden standing right in his way. He nicks it just outside the Liverpool box, and really he's been a little bit greedy, and he's tried to hit it and try and get a decent shot at goal, but it's standard for Alisson and it's an easy save. But that's the only real chance. It was the first shot of the game about 11 minutes in. But Manchester City, I would say, are edging it. They are in control of the ball when they're going forward. They're able to break down the Liverpool sort of midfield straight away. Liverpool seem as though they're struggling a little bit defensively in terms of, the three centre midfielders they've got today, for example, Curtis Jones, McAllister and Szoboszlai. They're all very attacking, very nifty little players, so they haven't really got that holding midfielder that we know that can sort of shore up a midfield. But 12 minutes played, City are edging it, but it is still Manchester City 0, Liverpool 0.
I mean, I find that absolutely incredible, the fact that Liverpool haven't won on the Etihad since Jurgen Klopp's first match charge in 2015. I mean, you do consider Liverpool equals over Man City over the last 2 years, but that's an incredible statistic that really caught me by surprise, Matt.
Yeah, I don't think it's just Liverpool, that are struggling, to beat or to get anything from the game at the Etihad. It's become a little bit of a fortress, dare I say. City have won their last 23 home games in all competitions, so it really shows how dominant they are at home. I think a couple of old football heads would say that Manchester City aren't the best at home, before the money came in, but they're really turning this place into a fortress, and Liverpool, as you say, have struggled, as have many other teams.
Let's talk about these two teams so far this season, both currently first and second. The Liverpool, we'll start with Liverpool, really, the away team. They were beaten by Tottenham 2-1 in September. That's their only defeat in 23 Premier League games. I feel like they're not really getting a lot of credit or a lot of plaudits around the Premier League, Liverpool, for the form they've shown this season. You obviously have to consider with the fact that they've gone behind in a lot of those games, which maybe dampens the win. But do you think that they're a better team than people are pointing out?
I think they deserve a lot of credit, I have to admit. 1 point only separates the two clubs at the top of the table, like you said. But at this stage on this date last season, Liverpool were 13 points behind City. So, there's an argument to be made of, Man City aren't as ruthless as they were last season. But there's an argument to be made that Liverpool have upped it a level, which is, it's good to see them back. It's good to see them fighting, like you say, for a title. We're almost into Christmas, and they are title challengers, which is good to see. Liverpool they've dropped a lot of points away from home. That's the concern, I think, for a lot of Liverpool fans. All of Liverpool's 9 points that have been dropped this season have been away from home. So that, again, just goes to show that Liverpool maybe need some sort of result here to give them a confidence boost. They're slowly coming into this game, 15 minutes in, but City are still dominant. They're getting the little, the attacking moves going forward. They can't really break down that City back three with the two holders of Rodri and Akanji. But we'll have to wait and see. 15 minutes played, and like I said, City are dominant, but Liverpool just starting to creep into it.
As for Manchester City, I think you run out of superlatives to describe this team winning the treble last season. Really looking faultless this year as well, and that's scary. Only falling to defeat to Wolves at Molineux before the international break weeks ago now, and it really is coming into this game. You really get bored of talking about Manchester City, describing Manchester City, but they're so brilliant, aren't they? And at this point, it really just feels like who can stop them, who can defeat them.
Yeah, absolutely right. Darwin Nunez just had a big chance there just before I go into City and praising City. Darwin Nunez, a good header from a Salah sort of cross from the right wing. He's lifted it in, and Darwin Nunez has tried to put all his force towards the goal. It's a good header, and Kyle Walker had to put his body on the line there just to keep the ball from going out. But no, City are you can't, like you say, you can't really praise them enough. They are, they're winning. They're winning all the time. They're the best scorers in the league. They've scored 32 goals already this season. You can't really fault them. I think it is just a case of everyone's trying to chase, everyone's trying to, get it to sort of that sort of level, and no one's really coming close. I think Liverpool are one of the teams that you could argue that are coming close, but they are still behind. They are still obviously second in the league, and City are just edging it. So I think if Liverpool can get a result here, or at least something from this game, it's all bets are off and it's game on.
As for, and this is just something I've just kind of noticed now, and maybe just caught my eye, Matt. We always associate Manchester City with such incredible strong benches and such incredible strong depth. But if we compare the two teams' subs benches today, there really does seem, I'd argue maybe that Liverpool have that stronger bench. We'll start with Manchester City. They've got Calvin Phillips, who's sort of been in and out of form. You've got John Stones, of course, Sergio Gomez, Gvardiol, Carson, Oscar Bob, and Rico Lewis. And then if you compare it to Liverpool's bench, you've got Joe Gomez, Wataru Endo, Konate, Luis Diaz, Gakpo, Harvey Elliott, Gravenberch, and Kwanzaa as well. I would argue there that actually Liverpool's bench is better. You'd say Gravenberch is better than Calvin Phillips. You'd say Harvey Elliott is probably better than Oscar Bob. You'd say Cody Gakpo again is better than, I say, Gvardiol or whatever. Joe Gomez, you'd say that, that Liverpool bench is stronger.
I would probably argue the same, Josh. I think it's, Manchester City are having a little bit of trouble with injuries. And, Jack Grealish, again, another player that will hit that injury list. I say injury list. I think Pep Guardiola spoke before the game and spoke that Jack Grealish was ill, an illness. That's why he's not in the squad today. He's not on the bench. He's not starting. So I think when you look at maybe the injury list, you've got Kevin De Bruyne out for the foreseeable, Mateo Kovacic as well is out, Mateus Nunez. So straight away you've got three central players there that are used to sort of linking up the play and starting attacks. That's why I think Manuel Akanji is starting alongside Rodri. That's obviously who Pep Guardiola trusts over Calvin Phillips or another player there, or John Stones, who's just come back from an injury or just coming back from injuries. If, let's say, for example, that Manchester City go behind in this game, they haven't really got game changers on the bench that can, going forward. Whereas you'd argue if Liverpool go behind, you'd argue that Liverpool have better options going forward, the likes of Cody Gakpo and amongst others. So it's worrying from a Manchester City perspective. But like I said, the 18 minutes that have gone by in this first 18 minutes, they don't seem to be bothered. So I think they're going to try and get this game done sooner rather than later, so they haven't got to rely on their bench, I don't think.
Yeah, like I said, it's a very interesting dynamic, that, isn't it? The fact that Liverpool do have that stronger bench, and that's not really something we see quite a lot. Thank you very much, Matt Smith. 90 minutes gone there. It's Manchester City 0, Liverpool 0. That's for the team today. Well, that is the game we'll be covering at 12 o'clock. The only game we're going to be covering live for you today. Around the Premier League, we also do have Newcastle v Chelsea. That's coming up at 3 o'clock with Matthew Key. We have the Newcastle v Chelsea. We have Burnley v West Ham. We have Luton v Crystal Palace, Sheffield United v Bournemouth, and Nottingham Forest v Brighton. Luton v Crystal Palace, it will be covered by Johnny Holmes. Sheffield United v Bournemouth will be carried by Tom. And then it is Nottingham Forest v Brighton, which will be covered by Duka Domba. That is that for you. They're the games coming up at 3 o'clock. So really, it isn't all Premier League focused there. No European games. We'll be doing our best to bring you the scores around Europe. Me and my producer John Kane will be searching all over the place to try and get you those scores. But as for now, it is listening to Football Live.
If you're betting on sports this week, why not make your money go further? Sign up to NairaBet for 11 days of risk-free betting. If your bet loses, you will get your stake back as a free bet up to 2,000 Naira. All you need to do is register a new account with NairaBet today and qualify to get up to 22,000 Naira in free bets. Visit www.nairabet.com/bonus for more information. General and free bet terms apply. Must be over 18. Must be KYC approved. Must place a qualifying bet. Bets must include football, tennis or basketball markets. Please gamble responsibly.
You are listening
You are listening
You are listening
to Football Live.
to Football Live
to Football Live.
on Brila FM.
More big match action coming your way tomorrow on Football Live. Two teams with their eyes on a top four finish come face to face as Tottenham Hotspur take on Aston Villa. Then Everton, in their first match since that 10-point deduction, take on Manchester United. In Spain, Real Sociedad are up against Sevilla. In Germany, our featured match is Hoffenheim against Mainz. And in Italy, Udinese go to Jose Mourinho's Roma. 4.5 hours of action-packed live football coverage from 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Join Chris Baldwin and his reporters for a massive afternoon of top-of-the-table football coverage, exclusive, of course, to Brila FM.
Follow us on Twitter at FootBLive.
OK, let's get Sean Dyche, the Everton manager, on the telephone. He's just lost 10 points.
Hello?
Sean, how can we improve Football Live?
If you want to get to the depth of real reporting, go around the Premier League and ask all of the Premier League management. If they give you a boring answer, we'll drive down and we'll slap them with a wet fish.
Are you happy spending a whole day in a car with the Football Live crew?
All day. Be much more fun than you asking me about whether we're going to play a 4-4-2. And they go, yeah, he is. Sean Dyche is going to play a 4-4-2.
That is excellent news. Sean Dyche does like Football Live after all. Well, we didn't take the 10 points away from him, did we?
Take Brila anywhere, everywhere.
Yes, you can take Brila with you anywhere, everywhere.
The Brila app is available for free download. Available for download on Google Play and the Apple iTunes Store.
Football Live. Football's never sounded so good on Brila FM every Saturday and Sunday.
We are here to bring you the goals.
You are listening
To Football Live.
It's absolutely unbelievable.
On Brila FM.
You couldn't miss it if you tried.
Let's get back to the action on Football Live. Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Josh Bailey.
Welcome back, and straight to Matt Smith we go to get on the update with Manchester City. They are mounting the pressure.
Mounting the pressure indeed. Liverpool are having to soak up that pressure and just launch counter-attack after counter-attack. It's City have had a couple of chances. Alisson has given the ball away once before. When he first came to me to Phil Foden, it was a silly mistake when they're trying to play out from the back, and they almost did it again. The ball was played by Curtis Jones, almost a bit of a stitch up to his goalkeeper, and Alisson, the Brazilian goalkeeper, he's tried his best to sort his feet out as fast as he can, but it's Erling Haaland who's running straight towards him, full whack sprint, and he's managed to intercept the pass that Alisson was trying to make out wide. But it did go out just for a throw-in on the far side. So Alisson's been caught twice. I don't think they'll be playing out from the back just as casually as they have been in this opening 24 minutes. City are maybe exploiting that a little bit. They know that Alisson has now made two big errors that could have led to decent chances. So I think that Haaland and Julian Alvarez, those sprightly players, will surely be mounting pressure on the goalkeeper. Jeremy Doku, by the way, is... I would say the main man for Manchester City. I think it's almost a blessing in disguise, really, that he has started over Jack Grealish. He's causing Trent Alexander-Arnold all sorts of problems. And, when you got Haaland coming wide to receive the ball and receive those long balls in the diagonal zones, it's very, very difficult for the English right-back to sort that out. He has been playing centre midfield for England. He's back into his right-back position for Liverpool today. And he is struggling against the Belgian Jeremy Doku, who is really a bright spark. 25 minutes played, Manchester City 0, Liverpool 0.
Yeah, Jeremy Doku has been absolutely fantastic, hasn't he, since he joined Manchester City. just a few words on him, Matt, because he has been a revelation. Rarely do we see a player from a different league settle into a team so quickly as he has, but he's been absolutely incredible.
He really has. He's slotted into Pep Guardiola's style incredibly well. I'd argue it's maybe a similar sort of player to what Bernardo Silva was when he first joined. They played him on the right, or mainly on the right, but Doku obviously comes in from the left. He's, again, almost in the same conversation as Leroy Sané and Bernardo Silva. Very tricky wingers, extremely fast. And going forward, he's, almost a complete ticket. Maybe needs a little bit of work defensively, but I don't think Pep Guardiola is going to complain about that. He's causing problems, for Trent Alexander-Arnold and Joel Matip, who makes his 200th Liverpool appearance, but he isn't blessed with pace, the Cameroonian. City are, having a little corner that just comes to nothing. So it's no out-and-out chances since he last spoke to me. But both sides just sort of toying with each other in the middle third. Liverpool haven't really spent a lot of time in Manchester City's defending third. Manchester City seem to be camped out in Liverpool's defensive third. So have to wait and see how the next sort of 20 minutes unfold. I think it's just going to be a case of when that first goal goes in. I think there could be a lot of goals in this game, that's for sure.
Yeah, are you surprised by the fact that Joel Matip's starting? You spoke about his lack of pace. They've got Konate on the bench there. Are you surprised they didn't go with Konate?
I think Jurgen Klopp in this sort of game, in this big game, it's almost like a title decider really early on in this season. I think Joel Matip and Virgil van Dijk are a great partnership. I think they're both very, very experienced centre backs. You'd maybe argue that Ibrahima Konate is a little bit inexperienced, a little bit rash. Maybe in the same sort of argument as Christian Romero. Those sorts of players that are a little bit rash going into the tackles and things like that. But waiting for that first goal, Josh.
Waiting for the first goal, indeed. And we are going to go now. We'll speak about a couple of the other games then around the. We're going to speak about a couple of other games around the thing. But actually, no, before we do that, I'll pause there because I think we do have a goal in the Premier League.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
It's 27 minutes gone, and it is Manchester City who lead against Liverpool. Man City 1, Liverpool 0. Matt Smith has said that the Blues have really applied the pressure, and it seems like the pressure has finally cracked that Liverpool defence, Matt.
Yes, goodness me, the pressure has finally cracked, and dare I say it's another mistake from Alisson. He slips when he's trying to kick the ball away, he's trying to clear his lines, and he slips over and it goes very, very high up in the air, and it doesn't even reach the halfway line. It reaches Nathan Ake, who beats Trent Alexander-Arnold, cuts inside, finds the feet of Erling Haaland. Erling Haaland puts it onto his left foot and pulls a pile driver of a shot just inside the box, but he pulls it right across Alisson. Alisson does get a hand to it, but it trickles into his net. It's 27 minutes played. Manchester City 1, Liverpool 0. Erling Haaland, the quickest player to ever reach 50 Premier League goals. He is not human.
We do not see those mistakes from Alisson. He's normally so reliable at the back, isn't he? He's been a staple of this Liverpool revolution over the last few years. Just don't see those mistakes from him, do we?
We don't. It's I don't know whether it's the pressure of the game. I don't know whether it's Jurgen Klopp has said to him, right, we need to use Alisson more as a centre back. We know that those Brazilian goalkeepers. We've seen Ederson do it. We've seen Onana do it. We're seeing all these modern goalkeepers are having to be able to have the ball at their feet and be comfortable with the ball at their feet. But this time it's just a bit of unlucky nature really from Alisson. He had the ball in his hands. It's from a sort of he's trying to look out wide, trying to look left and right, and he slipped as he's tried to kick it. And Nathan Ake and the City players are going to absolutely chomp them up. They want those chances. It's a gift really. And when Nathan Ake plays it into Erling Haaland has one thing on his mind. He's not really got any Liverpool defenders that are touch tight to him. He's able to put it onto his left foot, and it's a fantastic shot. Alisson does get a hand to it, but it's a very weak hand, and it goes in. So Alisson will be frustrated with his opening 28 minutes, but Manchester City, they've been given a gift and they've taken it very well.
Yeah, just looking back on that Haaland, it just slips when he goes to take that kick. It's absolutely terrible, isn't it? Really, it's got a moment he wants to forget, and then getting a hand to it, nearly redeemed himself, but he couldn't quite. I mean, if he'd got that, it would have been an absolutely incredible save. But for Manchester City, they now lead 1-0, and Liverpool, they've got it all to do in the second half. But as we said, they've got that bench. The bench is incredibly strong today, so I wouldn't be surprised if they managed to turn it around. 27 minutes gone, and it's Manchester City 1, Liverpool 0, and that Haaland goal was met by a massive scream from Pep Guardiola and a fist pump. It is passion that you love to see, and Erling Haaland as well was very passionate in his celebration too. This game means so much to people. Two teams of the highest quality. Is Manchester City 1, Liverpool 0, and this is Football Live.
4 hours of football every Saturday and Sunday on Brila FM with Football Live.
Haaland rose like a salmon, brilliant header.
It looks to me like there's absolutely no chance they'll overturn this. Instant impact, Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
It was a fantastic shot from Martin Odegaard.
It's been an unbelievable day here on Football Live.
You are listening to Football Live on Brila FM.
Yes, welcome back, everyone. Manchester City 1, Liverpool 0, as we heard from Matt Smith. We've also got another few games, as we said, around the Premier League to cover. We'll bring in John Kane now briefly to discuss those games. Diego Jota nearly had a chance on Manchester City just there for Liverpool just a few moments ago. We'll bring in John Kane now. John, we'll just talk about the Premier League and the 3 o'clock games. What one are you most looking forward to? Because it's got to be Newcastle v Chelsea, hasn't it? That game seems the most obvious as to what is going to be an incredible billing.
Yes, no, absolutely. It's going to be. It's a big game, isn't it? I'm actually surprised. It's actually a big game, and it's not really like a standalone game, shall we say? You know, it's massive. It's absolutely massive. The way Newcastle have been playing, the way where Chelsea's status is as well, is just absolute phenomenon. But it's one game. I mean, I don't think both fans were expecting to see their clubs 7th and 10th respectively. Newcastle 7th, Chelsea 10th. I think before the beginning of the season, everyone would have said both teams will be in the top 4, maybe top 5. But they had a few hiccups, haven't they? And I think that's sort of Chelsea sort of trying to turn a corner. Newcastle trying to find new ways of actually playing. But in the end of the day, both teams are actually looking for that important win today, and I think if you look at it, I think that the last time they played, it was a 1-0. That was in Europe, I think it was. It was a friendly, but in the Premier League, it was 1-0 at Stamford Bridge, and Newcastle won the home fixture last season. So it's going to be very, very close. I know Chelsea brought in so many new players, haven't they, this season, even more so than they did the winter transfer. But expectations are very high, especially after beating Spurs 4-1 away, regardless of the circumstances, and they drew 4-4 in that remarkable game last week. It's just, I think it's going to be a really big game.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, Chelsea really do seem like they've turned a corner, haven't they, John? Because they started the season, it was very shaky, to say the least. But they've now won 3 consecutive Premier League away games. They've scored 4 times in 3 of their past 5 league fixtures, including both of their last away. They seem like there's finally a little bit of, Mauricio Pochettino's installing that style of play, and they're really turning a corner under him.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, if you look for the last about 8 or 9 games, they only lost twice. They've lost to Brentford, yes, at home, and they've lost to Villa again at home. But in between them, they managed to beat Brighton, who are a very good team. They beat their South London rivals, Fulham. They also beat Blackburn in the League Cup. They beat Spurs. They drew with Man City. They drew with Arsenal. These results are really, really good, considering that you got a new team. I know the expectations at Chelsea are very high, but at the end of the day, it's going to take Pochettino quite a while trying to gel in all these new players, and we haven't seen probably the best of some of the players that they've got in. There's really high-profile players, like, Modric, regardless of what people think, but a lot of money was spent on. It still hasn't sparkled yet, hasn't he? And then you got Jackson, who started scoring goals. He got his first hat-trick against Tottenham, and he's obviously scored against Man City. So all these new players, it doesn't matter which club it is, it takes time for gel, and I think that's what Mauricio Pochettino is trying to do. But the pressure of being at Chelsea doesn't give you enough time sometimes, doesn't it? And if you're a bit smaller club, with all respect for other clubs, people say, right, we'll take time. But when you got with a big club like Chelsea, I think the expectations are quicker than any other club.
That's what you've got to say, isn't it? We're going to quickly go to Matt Smith just to talk about a Liverpool penalty shout right now. This could be a way back into the game for Liverpool, Matt. Is it, how Stonewall are we talking here? Have they got a chance?
Well, it's big shouts from Liverpool players. City, now taking their turn in terms of getting caught on the ball. Akanji gives the ball away to Szoboszlai, and it's a little bit sort of scrappy in the box. It's a little chipped over to Mohamed Salah. It looks like it comes down on Akanji's hand, but I don't think they're going to be checking it. Darwin Núñez had a chance as well just before that. He's almost in that 6-yard box for Liverpool. He's almost pushed a little bit wide by Ruben Diaz, and he can't really get a good shot across the goal. It's hit the near side netting. So Liverpool just edging it, coming into it again. They're having small little flashes in this game, but they're soaking up pressure. They're having to launch counter-attacks, and I have to be honest, when they do launch a counter-attack, they do look quite dangerous. You've got Darwin Núñez coming wide, Salah sometimes interchangeable with Diogo Jota, so all those three forwards are sometimes going central, sometimes going wide. City have just got to be careful they don't get caught out with that. They look good so far in terms of dealing with it. Akanji is surprisingly quite good on the ball. We know him as maybe a centre-back, a left-back, sort of makeshift left-back, but he's doing quite well. As I said, Doku is running the show. He's creating all the chances going forward. Bernardo Silva having a role in that as well. Phil Foden doing a little bit of defensive work. So City, look very, very dominant in this opening 36 minutes. Liverpool look a little bit shell-shocked since that goal. That could be 2-0 before half-time. I'd argue that City are looking for that second goal, and I think they're more than capable of getting it. Just when Liverpool get forward in that final third, they look a little bit all over the place, a little bit discombobulated, but City having their time in the Liverpool half. 36 minutes played. Manchester City 1, Liverpool 0.
It's that rotating three, isn't it, Liverpool, which has been a staple of Jurgen Klopp's play over the last few years. We saw it when it used to be Mane, Firmino and Salah, and now it's Núñez, Jota and Salah who rotate amongst that three. It causes problems for teams. Do you think Darwin Núñez is good enough to be leading the line for Liverpool? He's a very hit-and-miss striker, isn't he? You never really know what Darwin Núñez you're going to get, really.
I certainly think nowadays, certainly this season, I think Darwin Núñez is now, coming into his own. I think especially with Mohamed Salah alongside him, I think they're creating multiple chances every single game. I saw a stat, I'm pretty sure, between the Premier League duo this season, you've got the likes of Diaby and Watkins for Aston Villa, Eberechi Eze and Edouard for Crystal Palace. But Darwin Núñez and Mohamed Salah, they are number one in terms of chances created. They've created 19 chances together. So I think as a partnership, Núñez and Salah, I think that's what Núñez needed. I think he needed an informed Mohamed Salah to help him out create those chances, and for him to set up Mohamed Salah a few times as well. I think last season he got a lot of complaints about how off the pace he was, but I think he's now coming into his own. I think this is why he's able to start, and this is why Cody Gakpo is sitting on the bench, and Núñez is starting against Manchester City. I think it just goes to show how much trust Jurgen Klopp does have in that man, Darwin Núñez.
And a player who is definitely coming into their own and has been since he arrived at Manchester City is Julian Alvarez. 17 goals in 18 home starts at Man City in all competitions. He's a special player, isn't he? And he kind of gets overshadowed as Haaland, but I feel like if you took Haaland out and they sold him to Real Madrid next week, they'd still get the same amount of goals as Julian Alvarez.
Yeah, I think Julian Alvarez, I've said it, I think he's maybe a bit of an unsung hero, somebody that maybe doesn't get the plaudits and the praise like Haaland does, like Grealish does, like Foden does. I think last season he was almost like a backup to Haaland, and there wasn't really any space for him in the starting 11, and maybe Pep Guardiola was looking for a space for him in the team, and I think he's found his space this season, that's for sure, playing almost like two number 10s alongside Bernardo Silva with Doku and Foden on the wings. Again, with all those players supplying Haaland, that's why maybe Haaland is such a record breaker when you have these people behind him putting these chances on a plate for him. I think Haaland will be gobbling those chances up, and Julian Alvarez is certainly, if not number one, maybe number two in terms of chances created for Haaland to put away.
Yeah, them two are absolutely, their link-up play is absolutely exceptional, isn't it? And as for Haaland as well, that goal now means that he has scored. He had scored coming into this fixture 19 out of the 21 teams he faced in the Premier League. The only exceptions were Liverpool and Brentford. That was in the Premier because he netted against Liverpool in the EFL Cup. So now it's 20 of the 21 teams Erling Haaland has netted against. An incredible statistic, an incredible player. Let's go back to John Kane now just to discuss the Newcastle-Chelsea game that is coming up. Another incredible player, John, is Cole Palmer. He's been an absolute revelation, hasn't he, under Chelsea and especially under Mauricio Pochettino. Used to play for Manchester City. They gave him the option to stay. He wanted to leave, wanted to go to London, and he's flourishing and really finding his footsteps.
No, absolutely. And when you think that how great player he is in that young age, he just makes you surprised. him leaving Man City, but he wanted more time play, isn't he? He wanted to play more. He's not getting the opportunity, and you can see why. Obviously, Chelsea got full of plenty of players, but I still think that was a mistake by Man City letting him go, regardless of how much money, regardless of what he would have wanted, because I think eventually he would fit in easily, probably in the next 6 months to a year, into that first 11 for Manchester City. They love rotating, but you can understand it from his point of view, and he's gone to Chelsea, and that was done deal, and it was all history now, and he's been absolutely brilliant, isn't he? He's sparked from the word go, and he's probably is the main man for Chelsea going forward at the moment, because every time you see him, he's been absolutely brilliant. And you mentioned that, didn't you? Because you were on the show when Man City were playing Chelsea last weekend. And the calmness of that guy, against his old club to score that goal from the penalty, where everyone else were pushing and shoving, and he was Mr. Cool, wasn't he? He was the calmest guy in the whole ground. And to have that, you can imagine what such a good career you have, because if you've got that kind of coolness in that kind of situation, it actually affects your personality, and then that will affect your playing career. And I think he's got a great career ahead of him for Chelsea and for England, definitely.
It wasn't me, John Kane. Unfortunately, that was Dean. That wasn't me. It was Dean Kilford. But
I will rephrase it. It was Dean.
As for Chelsea, in terms of Nicholas Jackson as well, again, a player who really struggled at the start, got a lot of criticism from all Chelsea fans across the globe, but has now scored with 4 of his last 9 shots on target in the top flight. That's having, as I said, just found the net just twice in his first 24 efforts at goal. Another player that he's really starting to find his rhythm in that Chelsea team and that Chelsea offence.
No, absolutely. Jackson. I will say he played well. He scored enough goals for Villarreal in the last couple of seasons or so. So he knows where the goal is, and he definitely does well for a club that is competing against the likes of Barcelona, Real Madrid, and Atletico Madrid, which is not going to get you anywhere unless you play for Girona this season. It's a completely different matter. But for a player like him, it takes a while, and he did score a hat-trick, didn't he, for Chelsea against Tottenham Hotspur. Yes, I know so many Spurs fans are moaning that they were playing with 10 men, what have you, but either day, to score a hat-trick, doesn't matter what it is a hat-trick, and that would boost your confidence, and that's what it did. And he scored again against Manchester City. It took him a while, but he's starting to score the goals, and that's what Chelsea fans want to see.
That is what they desperately needed as well. We've heard the curse of the Chelsea number 9, but Nicholas Jackson seems to be breaking that over the last few weeks. To Matt Smith now, because Manchester City, they've already got one. They won a second. The Liverpool eventually their way back into this game, haven't they? But Man City are reminding Klopp's men that they're there to stay, and they've still got the danger up front.
Yeah, I spoke about Liverpool having little half chances here and there going forward, trying their very best to get into that final third and break the Manchester City defence down. They looked like they were going to do it. Curtis Jones found himself quite wide, and he was cutting in. He gives the ball away to Bernardo Silva deep in the City half, and Bernardo Silva launches Jeremy Doku on his way. And Doku brings the ball from just outside his own box all the way forward. He's got blistering pace, brings it all the way forward to the edge of the box, and it's an overload. You've got Haaland one side, he's got Julian Alvarez the other. He gives it to Julian Alvarez, and Julian Alvarez really hasn't got time to take a touch, but he struck it and he's hit it into the ground, and it's gone wide. But I think if other people will look at that chance, that's a huge chance for City to extend their lead. Phil Foden had a chance not long after that. He's coming in from the right and he's cut in onto his left foot, and it started from Ederson, this attack that I'm talking about with Foden. Ederson's given the ball straight into Bernardo Silva, to Julian Alvarez to Foden. So in 4 passes, they've gone from their goalkeeper all the way forward to one of their wide players, and Foden's cut in on his left and forced I'd argue, a world-class save from Alisson to tip it round the post. I think if Alisson's not on his toes there and he's not alert, that could have been 2-0. It's 44 minutes played, and it is still Manchester City 1, Liverpool 0.
As for Liverpool then, and in terms of, we've seen the fact that they've got 11 points from losing positions this season. Why do you think a team gets into that habit, Matt? Why do you think that, we see it every year that some teams are just really good from coming behind, and they'll fall behind and they'll always dig deep and they'll always be able to get themselves back into the game? Why do we see teams get into this habit? And like Liverpool, the start of this season, already, we're only a few games into the season. Well, it feels like a few. It's probably a lot more than that. And then, 11 points from winning positions. It's incredible, isn't it? How do teams get into the habit?
I think it's just a case of almost mentally they're starting a little bit slow. Liverpool, they start very slowly, as we've seen in the opening sort of 20-25. I'd argue maybe the whole entire of this half, Liverpool have been on that back foot for the whole of this first half. So it's almost like those half-time team talks from Jurgen Klopp. It's a rocket up the backside, shall we say, that maybe wakes them up, and they find themselves behind. Liverpool certainly are not out of this game, that's for sure. But all it takes is a half chance, and City to fall asleep for 30 seconds, and Liverpool launch one of their counter-attacks, and they will find themselves getting the equaliser. So I think Liverpool are a side that do not bow out. They don't roll over. They're still fighting. They are still fighting in this game. They're certainly not out of this game. Manchester City look very well drilled, though, I have to say. There's one added minute of time in this first half, but it is still Manchester City 1, Liverpool 0.
What about the midfield of Liverpool? Obviously, last year it really caused them a lot of issues. Do you think those midfield issues have been fixed? Do you think McAllister has stepped up? Do you think Curtis Jones has sort of filled the boots, done a good enough job, and Szoboszlai as well? Do you think he's done a good job?
I think when you talk about the centre midfielders for Liverpool, I said it earlier on in the game, I think they're maybe lacking a holder, a holding midfielder. When you look at Manchester City, you look at the more successful teams in Europe, shall we say, they've got at least one holding midfielder. Rodri for City. All these other clubs have got at least one holder. And I think City are struggling a little bit, but Liverpool haven't really got anybody that can hold except Wataru Endo. He's not on the pitch today, he's on the bench. Gravenberch is maybe a little bit more defensive than the likes of McAllister and Szoboszlai, but I think they've gone out on a bit of a whim. They want to try and get interchangeable centre midfielders, but it's just about it's coming up to half time and they find themselves behind.
They do. They've got 1 minute or so to try and change that and try and fix that. Thank you very much. Well, actually, I'll say 1 minute is just come to half time then. So Matt Smith, how about you give us your half time report?
Well, Manchester City were dominant in the opening 15 minutes, with Liverpool edging closer into the mix of things around the 20-minute mark. Alisson was caught out twice with the ball at his feet, with Phil Foden being gifted a chance, but his shot trickled into Alisson's grasp. And then again, Erling Haaland was almost let in within the 6-yard box, but it was cleared by the Liverpool goalkeeper and then the Liverpool defence. But it was Manchester City who took the lead. Alisson rounded off his 2 mistakes prior with a third. He tried clearing his lines with the ball in his hands. He kicks it away, he slips. Nathan Ake was there to collect the ball just inside the Liverpool half. He played in Erling Haaland, one touch from the Norwegian, and he struck across the goal to make it 1-0 to Manchester City. He's now the quickest player to reach 50 Premier League goals. He's done it in 48 games, a record breaker. Again, Liverpool had their moments going forward, but every attack seemed to break down when entering the final third. It is half-time at the Etihad. Manchester City 1, Liverpool 0.
Thank you very much, Matt Smith. Matt, before we go into half, what will both teams be saying at half-time? Manchester City, what will Pep Guardiola be saying to his team as the half-time whistle has gone in the dressing room?
I think Pep Guardiola obviously is going to be the happier of the two managers. The game is not dead and buried, that's for sure. I said that Liverpool certainly have a chance, especially with the players on the bench. I don't know if Jurgen Klopp's going to bring them on just yet. I think he might leave it a little bit, see how the second half starts. Pep Guardiola will be saying more of the same. They look dominant, they look in control. 60% around possession for them. So I think it's a case of, carry on the same as again, but do not get caught out. I think if Liverpool get one little half chance and they get one little, they get the equaliser, it's game on, and Manchester City are in a little bit of panic stations at that point. Jurgen Klopp, meanwhile, I think is, like I said, I think they need a little bit of a wake up. I think if City score a second, I'd argue that it might be game over because City will go rampant on Liverpool then. It's all about the next goal, I believe, Josh. I think if Liverpool get the equaliser, the tide could turn. But I think if City get the second, Liverpool have a mountain to climb.
The game is perfectly in the balance. Thank you very much, Matt Smith. A riveting first half that will only go up a few gears in the second. I can't wait to hear about it. Let's go to John Kay now because we've got 5 minutes. Actually, before we do, we'll quickly go to Europe just to get some updates around the grounds then from everyone in amongst Europe, because we are keeping an eye on a couple of the Barcelona games and also a couple of the games in Europe that you've got to look forward to. Currently 0-0 between Rayo Vallecano and Barcelona, 19 minutes gone. In the La Liga at 3:15, you've got Valencia v Celta Vigo, then Getafe v Almeria at 5:30, and then Atletico Madrid and Mallorca coming up at 8 o'clock. Around the rest of Europe, then you have a Europa League Conference League game today, which is absolutely incredible. We're into weekend. It is a Saturday. You're not dreaming. And coming up at 4:30, you have Tel Aviv against Zoira. Then you have Clermont v Lens. That's coming up at 5 o'clock Nigerian time. Then Strasbourg v Marseille. That's coming up at 9 o'clock. Bundesliga at 3:30 is Werder Bremen v Leverkusen. And it's Dortmund. These games are all 3:30 then. It is Werder Bremen v Leverkusen, Borussia Dortmund v Mönchengladbach, Freiburg v Darmstadt, Union Berlin v Augsburg, Wolfsburg v RB Leipzig, and Frankfurt v Stuttgart. That game, however, is coming up at 6:30 in the Serie A. Salernitana against Lazio. That's at 3. Atalanta v Napoli. That's at 6. Their first game without their head coach who was sacked last week. You have AC Milan v Fiorentina. That is coming up at 5:45, and then also coming up. And that is coming up at, not 5:40, that's coming up at 8:45. In the Eredivisie as well, you have Excelsior v Feyenoord. That one is at 4:30. Heerenveen v Sittard, that's at 5:45, and 20 v PSV is coming up at 6:45, and Ajax v Vitesse is coming up at 9. In the Nigerian, the NPFL, you have Heartland against Inyiba. That is coming up at 4 o'clock, and your Remo Stars v Doma United. That's also coming up at 4 o'clock. In the Saudi Pro League, then, as we like to keep an eye on them, at 4 o'clock you have Al Hazem v Al Hilal. That's at 4. Then the next 3 games coming up there at 7. That's Al Hilal SCS against Al Shabab. That's at 7 o'clock. You have Al Fatah v Al Fahina, Al Fiha. That's at 7. And then Al Waheba against Al Khalij. That's at 7 as well. And then Damak v Abach. That is at 7 o'clock as well. And then I did say because we've had a few time zone changes in England recently as well. The Spanish Liga games for 4:15. That is Valencia v Celta Vigo at 6:30. That's Getafe v Almeria, and at 9 o'clock that's Atletico Madrid v Mallorca. That is all in Nigerian time. We have 4 minutes then till our break with FJ. For now, we're going to bring in John Kane then. John, we were talking about the Newcastle v Chelsea game. Before we do, what were your thoughts on the Man City Liverpool game in that first half? I don't know if you were able to catch it, we were able to watch it. What were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I've been trying to catch it literally. I'm more or less interested in statistics, to be fair, and the statistics really don't lie, don't they? And possession-wise, Man City were better. They had 60% over the possession. The goal attempts, Man City had 5 shots with 4 on target. Liverpool had 4 shots and 1 on target. 5 corners to Man City, 1 corner to Liverpool. Now that tells you the dominance that Man City are in. But when the scoreline is still 1-0, especially against Liverpool, doesn't matter where you're playing, it's hard. And like Matt Smith said, the game is nowhere near as over because 1 goal, 1 chance for Liverpool, and that is 1-1, and it's game on. So the statistics are very, very good. But at the end of the day, Liverpool, with the players that we got, with the calibre that they have, by all means, this game is over yet. But you cannot help but favouring Man City if they're going to carry on the way they've been played in the first half.
Yeah, they've absolutely been incredible. Who have you been most impressed with in this first half? Is the standout player Jeremy Doku so far?
Yes, he's been absolutely brilliant, isn't he? The Belgian international, he's absolutely brilliant. And I'll put my hands up. I wasn't quite sure what he was like when he first came in. He's not one of the big names, isn't he, that coming into a club like Manchester City, but boy, oh boy, he just proved he's absolutely lethal, isn't he? And not only that, he not only just going forward, but even going back. You see him so many times going back and doing the job that a left back is doing, or left midfield, which is very ironically, I was just remembering, he's very similar to the way David Ginola plays, but David Ginola never used to go back and play and defend for Spurs or Newcastle. So straight away, I'll just sort of bit my tongue and thought, no, he's not. I think Doku, in a way, he's got his own style, but he's more of a team player than Ginola ever was. Let's face it.
Yeah, I mean, Doku's been absolutely incredible. He's been so. As for Liverpool, then, what do you think they can do in this second half? You know, we have said they've got a lot of changes on that bench, a lot of players on their bench that they could bring in.
No, absolutely. You look at the players that they got. You know, they've got Gravenberch, who can affect them going forward. They've got Gakpo, and of course, a return of Luis Diaz for personal issues. Obviously, he missed, or his mind wasn't on the pitch, which is understandably so. Which we're not going to discuss that. But Luis Diaz comes in. He's probably for me, Luis Diaz and Mo Salah up front all day, right from the start. But not to say anything bad about Nunes, but I think Diaz got a bit more accuracy in actually getting things right more than Nunes.
Thank you, John Kane, because we've got to get to FJ and the team in a minute. So the Manchester City, by the time we are back, the Manchester City Liverpool game will have started then. So we will bring you that straight away with Matt Smith. So now though, enjoy FJ and the team.
This is Football Live with Josh Bailey.
Welcome back, and let's get straight into the action at the Etihad, where there's 5 minutes gone in the second half between Manchester City and Liverpool. Matt Smith.
Yeah, it's more or less the same in this second half. Opening 5 minutes, Manchester City maybe more of the ball in this opening 5. Liverpool, they're just testing the Manchester City defence a little bit already in this second half. No chances for Liverpool yet, but they're just finding little gaps and channels in behind the City defence. Mohamed Salah having a little bit of one-on-one sort of match-up against Nathan Ake, and I'd argue that Nathan Ake is maybe winning that match-up as it stands. Salah a little bit quiet in that first half. Hopefully he can have more of an impact in this second half for Liverpool. No changes for either side. Jurgen Klopp on the sideline already. Pep Guardiola, just maybe just a little bit more reserved. He's happy at the moment, but Liverpool, I'd argue, are in a better position going forward than they were in the first half. That's for sure. So it's a positive start for Liverpool. A corner here or there, a deep free kick here or there. Pep Guardiola's got his head in his hands at the moment. Just maybe not so happy with the defensive work that Manchester City are displaying right now. So Liverpool, 51 minutes played, just starting to edge into the game. Manchester City 1, Liverpool 0.
Liverpool, have you noticed any maybe changes tactically for them, or is it still more of the same?
It's more of the same. I think the opening 5 minutes of the first half, Liverpool were all over City like a rash when City had the ball, and it's a similar sort of vein this time around in the second half when Liverpool have conceded the possession and City have the ball. Liverpool your turn to press, my turn to press, now your turn. So it's a little bit better from Jurgen Klopp's men, but as I say, City are dominant in possession. They look comfortable at the back. Liverpool are just giving them something to worry about a little bit. 51 minutes played, City 1, Liverpool 0.
We said that we're going to be giving you goal updates in the La Liga, and we have one now.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
But it's not come from Barcelona, it's come from Rayo Vallecano, who lead the Catalonian side 1-0 now. So it's Rayo Vallecano 1, Barcelona 0. Lopez on the score sheet just before half-time. And that is disaster for Xavi's men, with Girona and Real Madrid leading the way currently, and Barcelona just falling behind a little bit. They cannot afford to drop points against teams like Vallecano, but that is what they're doing right now. Rayo Vallecano 1, Barcelona 0. Back to Matt Smith now. Manchester City v Liverpool. Matt, as for Manchester City, we spoke a lot about Liverpool and their individual midfield and things like that. What about Manchester City's midfield? Because it is Akanji starting in the middle today. We've seen, well, he's a centre-back, isn't he, by trade, but over the last few games, Pep Guardiola has been playing him in that midfield a bit more often than not. I mean, it's an interesting, isn't it?
It is interesting, but I think he suits it well. I think he's he's that middle man between the defence, getting the ball off Kyle Walker, for example, or maybe Nathan Ake. He's able to turn and give it wide to Foden or Jeremy Doku. Talking about Jeremy Doku, he's just created a fantastic chance for Manchester City to make it 2-0. He's got acres of space around him on the left. He's received the ball. He's one-on-one with Alexis McAllister. He's beaten Alexis McAllister, and he's entering into that Liverpool box. He's cut it back to an unmarked Julian Alvarez. I think Julian Alvarez has time to take the touch and have a little shot at goal. He tries to hit it first time with his left foot, and it loops over the goal. So I'd argue it's another big chance for City. Could have made it 2-0. Liverpool are just warming up two of their subs. I think Luis Diaz and Ryan Gravenberch are set to come on. Diogo Jota having a little bit of treatment. Looks like maybe a pulled hamstring, which is not great. That's a forward player that'll be missed. Klopp's just talking to him on the sideline. A little bit upset, I think, Jota to come off. So Curtis Jones is the other Liverpool man to come off. So 53 minutes in, I'd argue that Klopp has made that first move. He's blinked first. Gravenberch on, Luis Diaz is on as well, and Jones and Diogo Jota off. So this is maybe the changes we thought would come a little bit later, but only 9 minutes into the second half, and Klopp has said, right, you know what, I've seen enough. I need to get these changes on. 54 minutes played, City 1, Liverpool 0.
Yeah, Diogo Jota, you got a feel for him, hasn't he? He's really struggled with injury since he's joined Liverpool, and every time he gets back in the side and returns from those times on the sideline, gets hurt again, and look at that.
Yeah, there's there's those types of players that can never catch a break. I think some players that, the likes of Eric Bailly, for example, one name that comes to mind who couldn't get a break. There's lots and lots of players nowadays that cannot catch a break in terms of injuries. Haaland had a chance about 30 seconds ago. We're talking about players going forward. City's forwards are looking as dangerous as ever. Doku's creating stuff. Bernardo Silva's creating stuff. The ball has just fallen in the air to Erling Haaland, and he's he's slashed at it a little bit, and it's gone over the bar. So two, I'd say, decent chances for City to extend this lead. But go back to Jota. It's a shame. I don't think it's an emergency. In terms of Klopp's not panicking a little bit. He's got Luis Diaz. He's got Gakpo on the bench. So I think if Jota's out for a reasonably long time, I think he has got decent support.
Yeah, so it's not the end of the world. As for Curtis Jones coming off, I think that's the right change.
I think so. With him just coming back from injury himself, I think it's probably the right thing to do. I think he's been a little bit quiet in the first half. Maybe a little bit inexperienced in terms of these big games. He's definitely a fan favourite for Liverpool, but it's good to see him back. That's one thing I think Liverpool fans can agree on. It's good to see him back. I think he's played his role. 55 minutes in a big game like this. I think he can't really complain. I think if he gives him too much, if Klopp gives Jones too much play time, he could end up doing himself a little bit of an injury or furthering that injury a little bit more. So I think it's the right call from Klopp. Fresh legs, just to give something to think about for City.
Gravenberch coming on as well. He's been mightily impressive. I mean, I've been very impressed with him when he has played. I think so have all the Liverpool fans as well. Has he impressed Matt Smith?
Yeah, he's been on the pitch for maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes. He's definitely playing in a more advanced role, maybe alongside Szoboszlai, almost in a mirror sort of thing to Manchester City. And Manchester City are playing, Bernardo Silva and Julian Alvarez as almost two number 10s going forward, and I think Liverpool are doing the same. Alexis McAllister seems to be that sort of almost a Modric role, who's able to sort of sit in that sort of number 6 role and have that ball from the defence and link up, similar to what Rodri's doing. Manchester City have had 7 shots in total, 4 on target. Liverpool have had 4 shots with 1 on target, so Liverpool really need to test Ederson. He hasn't really been tested apart from the Nunez header early on in that first half, but I think it's Manchester City's game to lose at this point. 56 minutes played, Manchester City 1, Liverpool 0.
Yeah, will Pep Guardiola be forced to react to those changes, or do you think Man City will continue to be playing the Manchester City way and how they have done in this game?
I think they're playing the Man City way, Josh. I think Manchester City, they haven't really looked out of control. They've looked very dominant for the 57 minutes we played here. They haven't really looked to panic. They haven't really looked out of sorts. At times, it's looked like a training game. They're playing along the back three, are playing, getting Akanji involved, getting Rodri involved. Liverpool are happy to soak up that pressure. And when Liverpool do launch a counter-attack, I spoke about it in the first half, they do look very sharp. But I think City can deal with that. They look very comfortable. I think Guardiola is being patient. He's not gunning his men forward saying, get this second goal quick. I'd argue that the second goal for City would dead this game straight away. But they look very comfortable, and they're looking for those passes going forward in their channels with the wingers going in behind, and even the likes of Kyle Walker getting in behind, getting forward, as does Nathan Ake. That proves with Nathan Ake going forward, he set up Haaland's goal.
Thank you very much. Matt Smith is currently there. Manchester City 1, Liverpool 0. Don't forget the games that are coming up for you then throughout the rest of the game. We have Newcastle, Chelsea. That's coming up at 3 o'clock. That's coming up at 3 o'clock. That's Matthew Key doing that one. We have Burnley v West Ham, Kane Wiz covering that. Liverpool v Crystal Palace, Johnny Holmes. We have Sheffield United v Bournemouth, that is Tom. And then we have Nottingham Forest v Brighton, that is Duka. Domba at 3 o'clock. Let's bring in Io now, our NairoBet betting expert, to talk through this weekend. I mean, let's be honest, it's a fantastic weekend for sport, isn't it? Arsenal v Brentford later on. That's coming up at 3 o'clock. With Manchester City v Liverpool as well. We've got Manchester City v Liverpool on right now, but we're not going to focus on that. We want to talk about Newcastle v Chelsea. That's the game that you're going to be laying your expert opinion on. Io, what are your thoughts on that game, and what odds can you offer us, and where should our viewers, where should our listeners put their money?
Good afternoon, everyone. I've got a bit of a sore throat, so my voice is a bit crooked today. It's getting really, really cold in London now, so
it's freezing. An illness is going around. An illness is going around.
Yeah, it's going around. So as for this game, Newcastle, surprisingly, Chelsea are the favourites to win this game at 2.50. So marginal favourites. Newcastle are 2.80. Chelsea, of course, have had two very, very fantastic results recently. And Newcastle, on the other hand, have slipped to consecutive defeats. So on that note, that's why you might think, okay, maybe Chelsea, that's why Chelsea are slight favourites. Chelsea at 2.50, Newcastle at 2.80, and a draw is at 3.50. It's a tough one to call. It's a tough one to call in this game. Both teams to score is 2.20 for no, and yes, 1.67. In terms of correct score line, Newcastle being marginal winners of the game at 1.90 will be 9.50. Sorry, to win the game 1-0 will be 9.50, and Chelsea at 9.00. In all regards, it's very close. But Chelsea are in great form. The two results they've had against City and Tottenham, albeit against 9 men, should keep their confidence going into this game against Newcastle. With players like Carlton Palmer in attack, sometimes when Chelsea have the ball, they don't even panic. It's like everything becomes motionless. Newcastle is a high-energy team, and Chelsea will need to take the sting out of the game if they are to get anything out of the game. I'm going to be going for a draw in this game. So a draw in the first half, a draw in the second half. That's my bet at 5.50. That's my value of the bet of the game. Value bet of the game for it to be a draw. But if you fancy Chelsea to nick it the second half after the draw first half, it will be Chelsea to win it after the draw first half. It will be 5.50, and Newcastle to win it after the draw first half. It will be 6.50. But I think it's going to be a draw. The game overall will be a draw, in my opinion.
As for Nottingham Forest v Brighton, then that's the other game we want you to cover today. What do you think on that in terms of the odds you can offer us?
Okay, for that game in particular, everyone just thinks, oh, Brighton should be favourites or Brighton should win the game. But football doesn't work like that. Football is a form game. Brighton are winless in 6 Premier League games. Do you believe that? Brighton are winless in
that's an incredible statistic.
Exactly. And Nottingham Forest have lost just 3 of their last 9 league matches. This is a Nottingham Forest win, in my opinion. Nottingham Forest to win 3.10. Brighton, who are in rotten, maybe not rotten form, not very good form, 2.30 favourites. I will not be backing Brighton to win this. I think Forest will shock them. 3.10 is the best. Forest to beat Brighton.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ayo. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time. For now, though, thank you very much, Ayo. But for now, this is Football Live.
Calling all high flyers who fancies a free flight on us. Naira Vegas are making it rain with 1 million, yes, 1 million free flights on Aviator. Claim unlimited flights with no minimum stake. The sky's the limit. Every day it will randomly rain free flights through the chat feature. Simply place your bets on Aviator and watch it rain free flights in the chat. Make sure you board the plane. You wouldn't want to miss out on a maximum multiplier of times 250,000. Full terms and conditions apply. Must click claim in the chat to be rewarded. Free flights for Aviator only. Must be 18+. Please play responsibly.
We are here to bring you the goals.
You are listening
to Football Live.
It's absolutely unbelievable.
On Brila FM.
You couldn't miss it if you tried.
Football Live. Football's never sounded so good. On Brila FM every Saturday and Sunday.
More big match action coming your way tomorrow on Football Live. 2 teams with their eyes on a top 4 finish come face to face as Tottenham Hotspur take on Aston Villa. Then Everton, in their first match since that 10-point deduction, take on Manchester United. In Spain, Real Sociedad are up against Sevilla. In Germany, our featured match is Hoffenheim against Mainz. And in Italy, Udinese go to Jose Mourinho's Roma. 4.5 hours of action-packed live football coverage from 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Join Chris Baldwin and his reporters for a massive afternoon of top-of-the-table football coverage, exclusive, of course, to Brila FM.
And you could not have scripted this.
It's a very erotic voice, by the way.
And Sean Dyche.
I have gravel for breakfast.
Liverpool leaving gaps left, right and centre.
Unbelievable.
Oh, Liverpool fans. Oh, Liverpool fans. Your emotions must be going all over the place.
Boom.
Liverpool 7, Manchester United 0. This is just incredible.
We lack belief.
You'll struggle to find a better team in form than Unai Emery's Aston Villa.
But very happy, it's very good.
4 hours of football every Saturday and Sunday on Brila FM with Football Live.
Football Live will be back very shortly, right here on Brila FM. Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Josh Bailey.
Welcome back, and let's go to the Etihad because we have a big penalty shout for Manchester City.
Yeah, it was a big penalty shout at first. I think that's what modern players do nowadays. As soon as it goes anywhere near the sort of hand region, the players have got to crowd that referee. But when you look at it again, it's come off the lower leg of Ryan Gravenberch. It did look a little bit suspicious when it was in normal speed. But when you look at some of these replays and you look at it again, and it's maybe not a handball. There was no VAR check, but the likes of Manchester City, those sorts of teams, they crowd the referee and they say you must give it surely. But no VAR check. Chris Kavanagh didn't see it as a handball, that's for sure. But we're 65 minutes in. Liverpool have maybe had more of the ball in this, the last 7-8 minutes. City just letting them come into the game a little bit too much, I would say. Liverpool have had consecutive corners. They're looking good going forward. I think when it goes for a corner for Liverpool, I think that's where they can get a lot of their chances, where they can maybe grab something from this game. The likes of Virgil van Dijk, Joel Matip, they're big units of centre-backs. Those are the chances I think that Liverpool might grab something. They've had a lot of the ball. They've had a lot of the chances going forward. They're pressing City's back three and back five a lot of the time. Bernardo Silva having to drop back and link things up. Phil Foden having to drop back and link things up. But again, a special mention has to go to Jeremy Doku, who hasn't let a Liverpool player get anywhere near him, and no Liverpool defender can get near him. He's supplying the City forwards almost every move going forward. He is arguably the best player on this pitch, and he has been really. He's been proving himself in the past few weeks before the international break, that's for sure. And that's maybe why a lot of the time he does get chosen over Jack Grealish. This time Grealish is ill and therefore he has to play, but I think Jeremy Doku is a very, very special talent. And like you said, I think John spoke about it. It came out of nowhere, this signing for City. And the fact that he has to play week in, week out for Manchester City just goes to show how much faith Guardiola does put in the Belgian.
It's been a second half where very uneventful. You'd expect Liverpool to maybe be applying a lot more of the pressure, but now 6-7 minutes gone. We've not really seen much, really. And actually, we have just seen something because we have just had a goal.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Who is it for, Matt Smith?
Well, there is a VAR check. It's for Ruben Diaz at the moment. He has put the ball in the back of the net, and it looks like a foul on Alisson, the Liverpool goalkeeper. It's come from a corner. He's tried to collect it. I don't think he really has both hands on the ball. This is definitely going to go to VAR. You may have to come back to me, but it's spilled by Alisson. Ruben Diaz is 3 yards out. He he passes it in, and it does look like it should be allowed, but the VAR check is going. You may have to come back to me.
Manchester City, then they had their second goal, but VAR is standing in their way right now. So Manchester, this would be a huge 3 points to them. Would send them, have a big healthy gap at the top of the Premier League. 4 now for Liverpool. It would be a disaster if they were to concede this second goal. You could probably say goodbye to 1 point or 3 points or any chance of getting their way back into this game if this goal does stand, and it has been disallowed. Maximum, the Liverpool fans are going to breathe a huge sigh of relief because for the next 20 minutes, they've still got a chance.
Yeah, it is still game on. I think, like I said, if that goal had gone in, I think that is game over. I think you spoke about it. I think when we're in the 68th minute mark, I think if that is given, I think it's game over. But I'd argue that maybe Alisson, he hasn't got his hands on the ball completely. I do think it's maybe a little bit rough. I can't remember who. I think it might have been Akanji that gave the foul away on the Liverpool goalkeeper. I think it's a little bit reckless from Akanji. He doesn't really need to nudge him as hard as he has done. Even just let the keeper know you're there. I think Alisson has obviously gone down to the floor straight away and has said, referee, come on, don't allow that goal. I think it's a little, I'd argue it's maybe a little bit soft. But I think, when you foul a keeper nowadays in the modern time, I think it's maybe potentially it's a foul, and the goal is disallowed. So it does remain Manchester City 1, Liverpool 0 on the 69-minute mark.
Let's bring in John Kane. John, do we think that was the correct decision, or is it a case of goalkeepers being overprotected once again?
I think it's being a bit overprotective, I have to admit. I mean, yeah, I know, I appreciate the new rules and the new regulations that actually goalkeepers always protected, but I think that was a bit too much for protection, to be fair. You cannot blame them for just allowing it, but at the same time, it wasn't really that major issue. Does that make sense?
Okay, thank you very much. He does everything, doesn't he? He's a producer, he gives his football opinions, he's a resident VA, a referee expert, isn't he? He does everything, John Kane. He's brilliant. He's a man of many talents. Matt, what will that disallowed goal, that non-goal now, give to Liverpool? Because we see many times how a VAR decision can swing the game in both ways, whether that, it puts the team who scored favour, like it hasn't done for Manchester City, or gone against them and then gives the opposing team a little bit of belief, a little bit of wind in their sails.
Yeah, I think it's just what Liverpool need. I think it's just what, they need a wake-up call. City are coming into this game in the last 5-10 minutes. They're edging it, coming closer and closer to finding that second goal and extending their lead. I think it's, if that goal goes in, like I've said, it's game over and Liverpool have a mountain to climb. So City now a little bit unlucky with that. Liverpool very, very lucky to find themselves just one behind. This is a huge wake-up call. We've still got 20 minutes plus the added time. If Liverpool are going to get a chance, they have to take it. They have to get themselves back in this game, and they don't really look too close to getting it. But all it takes is one chance, Josh. 70 minutes played. Manchester City 1, Liverpool 0.
Have Manchester City just tactically nullified Liverpool here, or is it more of a focus on Liverpool and what they haven't done?
Oh, goodness me, I think it's a mixture of both, dare I say. I think Manchester City and Liverpool, I think they play relatively similar. I think Manchester City maybe just a tad quicker in their attacks and maybe a tad quicker when they're going forward in those interchangeable passes. I think Liverpool are just looking for those chances, when they can come, few and far between. Darwin Nunez has just had a fantastic chance just before you came to me. Again, it's that sort of near post run that he likes to make. Salah's given it to Darwin Nunez, and again, he's tried to switch it right across the goal. He can't get his foot right around it, and Ederson has had to make a point-blank save at his front post, and it's those that can sneak in, those half chances that Liverpool can get. It can all change the game. 71 minutes played, City 1, Liverpool 0.
Thank you very much, Matt. There we are, as he said, Manchester City 1, Liverpool 0. Just heard as well, apparently Pep Guardiola has just turned to the crowd and kind of put his hands to his ears and trying to jeer the crowd up, really, try and create some noise and complaints of a lack of noise between for the Manchester City fans for a game of this magnitude, which is a little bit disappointing. That's not what we like to hear. We love these games to be kind of charged with atmosphere, and hopefully they will be now. When you do come back, we are going to get our 2 o'clock ad breaks, but for now, you are listening to Football Live.
Four hours of football every Saturday and Sunday on Brila FM with Football Live.
Haaland rose like a salmon, brilliant header.
It looks to me like there's absolutely no chance they'll overturn this. Instant impact, Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
It was a fantastic shot from Martin Odegaard.
It's been an unbelievable day here on Football Live.
You are listening to Football Live on Brila FM.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Football Live with Manchester City 1, Liverpool 0. Liverpool just had the ball in the back of the net. However, it was ruled out for VAR, which gives Liverpool 20 minutes to get themselves back into this game. But the way they've been playing so far and the way Matt Smith has called this game, it really does seem like it's, even though the score is only trailed by 1, then it's a real far way for them to get back into this. They've just made another substitute to try the edge of the game in their favour. It's Dominik Szoboszlai who's come off. And it is Cody Gakpo, Luis Diaz who's come on.
Yeah, no, Luis Diaz has come on earlier on in the game, but it is Cody Gakpo that comes on for Szoboszlai. I think, again, another attacking move. Cody Gakpo We know him as a forward player, especially for Liverpool, but he can play in central midfield. He's played alongside Gravenberch and McAllister before for Liverpool, so I think it's an attacking move. It almost gives something a little bit different for City to deal with and to try and master. I think, we're 74 minutes played and Liverpool almost getting a little bit frustrated. A couple of little fouls here and there. Darwin Nunez just got booked about 30 to 40 seconds to go for a foul on Phil Foden. So the frustration of of being behind and not really getting the run of the green is starting to show in the Liverpool players. The bursting pace of Phil Foden, and Darwin Nunez just takes a little bit of a kick out at him. And Chris Kavanagh, the referee today, has no choice but to book him. It's his second yellow card of the season. So the frustrations are just starting to show, and I can imagine that Jurgen Klopp will be frustrated as well with these changes that he's made. Nothing's really changed. City are still dominant. 74 minutes played. Manchester City 1, Liverpool 0.
As I've said, we have got our 3 o'clock games coming up, and I do want to get some team news from the team. So let's go to Matthew Key, who's covering Newcastle v Chelsea today. Matthew, what is the team news coming out from St James's Park?
Yes, we've just had the team news come out for both sides here at St James's. Josh, what an absolute pleasure it is to be here, and what a time to have a fixture of this magnitude as well. 3 o'clock for Newcastle Chelsea. We don't see that very often. So let me run you through the team news for you now, and there's a couple of big changes from the Newcastle point of view, with Alexander Isak back after injury, leading the line up top, and Lewis Miley, the 17-year-old, being given the role of starting in midfield. He comes in for Joe Willock. So the Newcastle team in full is Nick Pope, Trippier, Cher, Lascelles, Livramento, Longstaff, Guimaraes, Miley, Almiron, Isak and Anthony Gordon. And as for Chelsea, well, they're coming into some form, aren't they? That win against Tottenham and that absolutely crazy game against Man City last time out, 4-4 draw in the end. So they've got coming into this one with a bit of confidence despite the international break. And for them, it's only a couple of changes. Badashile coming in at the back alongside Leslie Okachukwu, who's coming into midfield today for the £100 million man in Moises Caicedo, who drops the bench. So for Chelsea, it's Robert Sanchez, Reece James, Badashile, Thiago Silva, Cucurella, Enzo Fernandez, Okachukwu, Gallagher, and then Nicholas Jackson, Raheem Sterling, and the in-form man, Cole Palmer, leading the line. What a game this promises to be, Josh. Kick-off just under an hour. I'm sure you'll come to me at the conclusion of this game here at the Etihad. Looking forward to this one. It's Newcastle-Chelsea at St James's Park.
Thank you, Matthew. From a Matthew to a Matt, where Erling Haaland already has his one. He wants his second as they look to seal this game off, Man City.
Yeah, it's a free kick, just sort of maybe on that sort of defensive third for Liverpool. And Julian Alvarez is wide on the right side. He's got a free kick, and he sweeps it in right round the Liverpool defence. And Erling Haaland is maybe about 8 or 9 yards out. He's got his back to goal a little bit, so he's having to header the ball sort of backwards and left. It's a difficult header to master, and it does go over, but it's another good chance for City to extend their lead. They're knocking on the door for their second. Liverpool, like I said, are getting frustrated. Fouls and little sort of lashes out when the ball goes out of play. It's going to be frustrating for Liverpool if they don't get something from this game. But 77 minutes played. City are having those chances to make it 2-0, but it does remain Manchester City 1, Liverpool 0.
It's half-time between Rayo Vallecano and Barcelona. They took a lead through Lopez late on in that second half to make Rayo Vallecano 1, Barcelona 0. And this is a half-time report from our reporter who's there.
Hi Josh, yeah, here at half-time in Madrid, it's Rayo Vallecano 1, Barcelona 0. Unai Lopez has put the home side ahead from 35 yards. He initially took a free kick from wide-ish on the right, which was not cleared properly by Barcelona. Eventually fell back at the feet of Lopez, and he lashed a first-time half-volleyed shot in at the near post of reserve Barcelona goalkeeper Iñaki Peña. He didn't necessarily cover himself in glory in the first half. Peña, he fumbled a shot fairly early on from Isi, which he probably should have done better with, but he had to make a smart save from Oscar Valentin a few minutes later after Frankie de Jong was caught dawdling on the edge of his own penalty area and was dispossessed. Lewandowski went closest for the visitors. He spurned a decent one-on-one opportunity, but frankly it's been all Rayo Vallecano here, and so plenty of head scratching for Xavi to do at half-time. Half-time in Madrid, it is Rayo Vallecano 1, Barcelona 0. You heard it right.
Another huge chance for Erling Haaland. We don't see him squander many, but today I don't know what's wrong with him, but just can't seem to find the back of the net. Well, he's already found it once, but he can't seem to find the back of the net a second time.
Yeah, it's a strange one. Jeremy Doku, goodness me, what a player he is. He's cutting from the left. He's given it back to Erling Haaland. It's a good bit of defending from Virgil van Dijk. And Virgil van Dijk just puts him off enough for Alisson to clear his lines. But it's still Manchester City 1, Liverpool 0. Big chance missed.
Big chance missed. And for those punishment, they have been punished because it is Liverpool have got an equaliser.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Manchester City and Erling Haaland have been punished. They have dominated Liverpool in the first half. They've had so many chances in the second half, but they have not been able to find that crucial second goal, Matt Smith. And the Reds have struck back.
They have struck back. It's 79 minutes played. It's Manchester City 1, Liverpool 1. Mo Salah is on the right, and he's just waiting for Trent Alexander-Arnold to underlap him almost. He's not gone around the right side. He's come inside. I think it's Erling Haaland that lets Trent Alexander-Arnold run away. Alexander-Arnold has one touch and he drills it across the goal from just outside the box. Ederson cannot get anywhere near it. It's gone through a few City defenders, and we're 80 minutes in. I told you that City, all it took was one goal, one little chance, and they're back in this game. It's the 80th minute mark, and Manchester City, it's now 1, Liverpool 1. Game on. We've got a very interesting last 10 minutes plus added time. Trent Alexander-Arnold puts his finger to his lips, maybe shushing the City fans, shushing the criticism he's been receiving, and now they are back in this game. I was about to say, Pep Guardiola didn't look too happy on the sideline before that goal. It's not been a scintillating performance from Manchester City. They've been dominant, but maybe not as cutthroat as they have been, taking these chances, and now they find themselves dropping points here. It's Manchester City 1, Liverpool 1.
They've been on the ropes all game, haven't they, Liverpool? They've been receiving punches left and right, but they've just managed to stay upright. They haven't hit the canvas, and they've been able to land a left hook of their own there to make it 1-1. And what can they do? We spoke about the Liverpool bench and how it's got a lot of quality players who have clearly switched this game with like a Gravenberch, like a Gakpo, and like a Luis Diaz coming on those changes. That strong bench has made the game swing in their favour. And is it going to go a full 360? Or are they going to find the second and take the 3 points back to Liverpool? Manchester City 1, Liverpool 1. Thank you very much, Matt Smith. We're now going to get some 3 o'clock team news from around the grounds. And we are going to start with Johnny Holmes and Luton Crystal Palace.
Yeah, good afternoon, Josh. Just looking at this one, Luton versus Crystal Palace should be an interesting one. Luton, of course, climbing out of the relegation zone in the international break, courtesy of that Everton points deduction. And for the host, Andros Townsend, who played 168 Premier League games for Palace. Of course, Luton's opponents today between 2016 and 2021. He makes a start for the host today. Issa Kabore, though, a massive absence for Luton. One of their stars of the season, it has to be said. I've been very impressed with him. He will miss this game with a head injury, and Amari Bell steps in for him. And lining up against Luton is, of course, Crystal Palace. And Michael Elise makes his first start for Palace since the 28th of May. That's one of 2 changes for Roy Hodgson. Jordan Ayew, who Hodgson confirmed had only returned to training from international duty on Friday morning, he moves to the bench, while Palace's other change sees Corey replace Will Hughes in midfield.
Thank you very much, Johnny Holmes. We're going to go to Duke Odomba now with Nottingham Forest v Brighton at the City Ground. Brighton, who are winless in their last... not Brighton. Not Brighton. Yeah, apologies. And we'll just cover this one. And Brighton are winless in their 6 games.
Yes, good afternoon. Yeah, both teams in a bit of a tough form at the minute. Obviously, Brighton not won in their last 6 Premier League games. And Nottingham Forest have only won 1 in their last 8. But the most notable change in this game is Taiwo Awoniyi, the Nigerian striker for Nottingham Forest, who's out injured, which is reported for a very lengthy amount of time. Chris Wood comes in for him, and Danilo comes in as well for Nottingham Forest, being the only 2 changes. Brighton make a whole host of changes. We see Evan Ferguson, come in. We see Tariq Lamptey come in, Lewis Dunk, Joel Veltman and Bart Verbruggen all come in as Brighton look to end that winless run.
Thank you very much, Duca. We're very much. Right, we'll go back to the Liverpool game now. Manchester City, Liverpool 1 all right now. Matt Smith, this game is delicately poised. The last 10 minutes to go.
Yeah, 83 minutes on the clock. Liverpool just made a sub there. Darwin Nunez coming off and Alexis McAllister also coming off. It's Wataru Endo coming on, and it's Harvey Elliott coming on as well. So again, maybe just fresh legs, just a little bit of creativity from Harvey Elliott, that's for sure, coming on, just giving them a little bit of hope in these last sort of 10 minutes plus added time, really. I think if Liverpool can snatch something from this game, goodness me, it'll be head-scratching moment for Pep Guardiola. He's got his head in his hands. Most of the time that I've looked down and seen him, he's very, very frustrated, and I think he'll be extremely frustrated with letting this game go. 84 minutes played, City 1, Liverpool 1, Liverpool back in this game.
Pep Guardiola must be absolutely gobsmacked right now. His team have been in absolute cruise control for this whole game, but they haven't taken these chances. He must be scratching his head about how this game is back on square terms.
Yeah, I said they've had majority of the ball. They've had 61% of the possession in this game. Liverpool have only had 39%. City have had 11 shots in total. Liverpool have only had 8. City have had 5 shots on target. Liverpool have only had 3. So when we look at those statistics going forward, City have been dominant. They've had more of the ball. They've had more chances, but they're not taking them. We spoke about Haaland maybe squandering a few chances. Julian Alvarez squandering a chance or 2. Jeremy Doku is setting these players up, and these are the sort of games you need your finishers, you need your Haaland, you need your Julian Alvarez to take the chances that Doku is serving up on a plate. Will they live to regret it? 85 minutes played, Manchester City 1, Liverpool 1.
That's on the Premier League table then. Will things really remain the same at both these? Manchester City will move to 29 points and Liverpool will go to 28 points. So it's really all square for Arsenal. If this game was to end like this, fantastic opportunity for them later against Brentford to move to the top of the Premier League. So this is the perfect result for the teams around them. A draw between both of them. That is the perfect result. We're going to go to Tom now, who's covering the Sheffield United Bournemouth game for us at Bramall Lane. Tom, what's the team news for us?
Hi Josh, well we've got a real 6-pointer here today between Sheffield and Bournemouth, two sides struggling at the wrong end of the table. Sheffield did move up a place during the international break in lieu of Everton's 10-point deduction, so a bit of positivity for them, but on the pitch it hasn't been great. They've lost 9 of their opening 12, but their only win did come in the last home game against Wolves, which they followed up with a spirited 1-1 draw at Brighton. They're unchanged from that game as they look to make it back-to-back home wins. As for Bournemouth, well, it's not been great for them either. They sit 4 points above the drop, losing 7 of their opening 12 games. But they may feel they've turned a bit of a corner because in the last 2 at home, they've got wins against Burnley and Newcastle, although that was sandwiched in between a 6-1 drubbing at the Etihad, but I suppose that can happen to anyone. They make one change from their last outing. Adam Smith comes in at right back to replace Max Aarons as Bournemouth look for 3 points and a bit of distance between themselves and the drop.
Yeah, like I said, a massive 6-pointer for both of these teams. Desperately need wins. Only 1 win each, which has come in the last few weeks. Thank you very much, Tom. Let's go to Matt Smith now, because Joel Matip just picked up a booking.
Yeah, it's a very dangerous challenge. I'm surprised they haven't really looked at that in the VAR room. It's Jeremy Doku again. Goodness me, I said his name about 30 times in this game alone. He's coming in from the left again, and his quick little feet are moving left and right, and he cuts in. He's just on the edge of the box, really, and Joel Matip obviously is a little bit slower than, I say a little bit slower, a lot slower than Jeremy Doku, and he puts his foot, and it looks like it's sort of shin high and sort of drags his studs down the front of Jeremy Doku. It looks a little bit dangerous. He only got a booking. The VAR didn't check it. I'm maybe just thinking in the modern way. Maybe that should have been looked at. But the game continues. 87 minutes played. Manchester City 1, Liverpool 1. It's all to play for, Josh. It's now opened right up.
VAR were looking at it, Matt, but they're deciding nothing of it. Again, maybe a VAR decision that will leave us scratching our head. Like we've got just under 3 minutes to go here. Do you see either side going for it, or both sides going for it, or is it a case of both of them just taking what they've got and leaving happy with it?
Yeah, I think certain managers and certain teams would maybe sort of settle for a draw away from home, but Jurgen Klopp certainly is not doing that. I don't think Guardiola is either. Both teams are, they're pressing very high in these remaining sort of 2 minutes and then plus added time. I don't know how many minutes are going to be added, that's for sure. Maybe 3, maybe 4. It's Bernardo Silva just got booked as well for a little bit of challenge. So the frustration for both teams, again, it's starting to show. Maybe more from City now that they've gone so far into this game leading, and now they've let it slip. That's maybe where the frustration's coming from. Liverpool now, for example, almost playing with a little bit more freedom. They're trying to go forward. They're trying to get something even more from this game. But Man City, Pep Guardiola will be very frustrated, as will the City players. They're not rolling. They're not done yet. City. They're still not. They're not settling for a draw. That's for sure. At home to Liverpool, those are the games you're meant to win.
For Man City, they haven't been held to a draw since December 2022. That was on New Year's Eve, when Liverpool's neighbours, actually Everton, held them to a 1-1 draw. So they don't know what it's like. They've not tasted a draw. They've got tasted this winning feeling at the Etihad pretty much in a year, which is absolutely incredible for them. Absolutely amazing. Man City 1, Liverpool 1 right now. We will all the teams apart from Burnley v West Ham, which is Barry Swain. He'll be with us very shortly. Don't worry if you're thinking, where's the Burnley West Ham team news? We will get it when Barry Swain is with us, but he can't be with us right now. So Liverpool, Manchester City is currently 1-1 as we tick over into about the 90th minute. 13 shots on target for Manchester City 13 shots with 5 on target for Manchester City. 8 shots to Liverpool with 3 on target for them. 89 minutes and 40 seconds gone in that game. Thank you all for our team reporters who came in and gave us our team news there. We're back with those at 3 o'clock, and sooner rather than later at 3:25 we will be going to FJ and the team for our ad break. It will take us all the way to 3:50, and as soon as you know it, we'll have our 3 o'clock kick-offs. We'll go back to the Man City. We'll go back to Matt Smith right now because the game has just gone into the 90th minute. Matt Smith, do we know how many minutes is going to be added on time there?
Believe me when I say this, I can't believe it. There's been 8 minutes of added time that gives both of these sides ample time to get something more from this game. At the moment, they're getting a point each, but if both of these sides want to really put a real punch into this title race, they'll give it their all. 8 minutes. I don't quite know where it's come from. There hasn't been many injuries. There hasn't been many stoppages. I think Pep Guardiola's frustrated as well as confused as I am. I don't really know where they've come from. Whether that's just letting the spectators enjoy this for a little bit longer, I don't know. But 8 minutes have been added. We're in the 90th minute now. 90 minutes and 47. Manchester City 1, Liverpool 1. It's all to play for with another 7.5 minutes remaining. Josh.
8 minutes is absolutely incredible, isn't it? And that's why this new added-on time rule can completely change games, can it? Because normally you'd say this game 1 or 2-3 minutes added-on time, nothing's going to happen. Those 8 minutes, like you say, both teams could do something with this game. Both teams can run away with the 3 points here.
Absolutely right. You know, we spoke about Haaland's missed opportunity. That only happened about 30 seconds before Liverpool got their equaliser. So, like I said, the game can change on a sixpence. It can change straight away. I think, Liverpool are really gunning for this win. They're going to go and try for it. Trent Alexander-Arnold's almost playing as a 4th centre midfielder. Tsimikas is getting forward all the time. Virgil van Dijk and Joel Matip are urging their players to get forward. So, out of the two teams now, I can't believe I'm quite saying it, Liverpool maybe arguably look the better side in these latter stages, looking the most dangerous going forward. City not crumbled, that's for sure, but they just don't look the same team as they were in the first half. It's 92 minutes played. Manchester City 1, Liverpool 1.
For Liverpool as well, they've only earned 1 point from their past 6 away league games against the reigning champions since beating Chelsea in October 2015. That was to give Jurgen Klopp his first Premier League victory. They just don't seem to win away either at Manchester City or at the reigning Premier League champions. Some real statistics that are going against their favour, but today, somehow, thanks to Mohamed Salah and Trent Alexander-Arnold and the substitutes on their bench, they're back in this game, and they would be happy with this point, do you think?
They have to be. They're away from home. Like I said, they struggle away from home this season. They certainly, all their points they've dropped, they've all been away from home. And you'll argue they haven't really dropped points here. They were behind and they've maybe gained a point rather than dropped any points. City are the ones that will be looking at this thinking, we have definitely dropped points if we go and draw this game. Jeremy Doku is causing problems for Liverpool. That's the only real outlet that City have got. Wataru Endo just got booked for a challenge on the Belgian City winger. So, he's almost like another Jack Grealish. They're almost the same sort of player. Very, very tricky. Will always get fouled and seems to be the ones that draws the bookings and draws the fouls. But he has been outstanding for Manchester City, and he'll be probably, I'd say, the most frustrated out of everybody, that all these chances that he's set up on a plate, nobody's putting them away, and they find themselves drawing at home to Liverpool. 93 minutes played. Man City 1, Liverpool 1.
He man of the match for you today, Jeremy Doku?
I would argue definitely. I think he's definitely in the mix. I think if we're going to maybe pick 3, it's the likes of Jeremy Doku. You'd argue that Erling Haaland's in there just for scoring his goal, and I think Bernardo Silva as well. The link-up play that he's had to drop sometimes and receive it off the defence and play it forward. In terms of goodness me, Liverpool players, it's been a little bit of a quiet one. You'd maybe say Trent for scoring the goal, or you'd maybe say Salah, but it has to be a City player, and I think Doku is well out in front, really. I think people would say, oh, Haaland's got to get man of the match because he's the one that scored the goal. But Doku has been absolutely sublime. Many chances given to those City players going forward, and they haven't taken their chances. But Doku is one of those players that can come out of this game thinking, well, I've done all I can.
It's going to be very hard for Jack Grealish to get back in the side the way that Jeremy Doku is playing right now. But despite all his success on the pitch today, Manchester City, they still find themselves drawing right now. 94 minutes gone now, Matt Smith. How's the game looking? Where are we? Either team creating chances?
Yeah, Manchester City are camped in Liverpool's defensive third. Liverpool have got every single man behind the ball. Mo Salah maybe is the outlet that they want to launch a counter-attack. That's the man they're going to look to. But City are not in panic stations, but they're a little bit frantic going forward. They want to try and get something out of this game. They can't come away from their home stadium thinking, goodness me, we could have put that game to bed early on, and we've let them come back into it and they've equalised. So, we're in the 94th minute and City are looking desperately for something out of this game. I think Liverpool maybe have shut up shop, parking that bus.
For Liverpool, the point is absolutely huge for them, isn't it? They say going away to the Etihad, not many teams come away with anything from this iconic stadium, yet they are about a couple of minutes away from doing that. And for their Premier League hopes this season, that'd be absolutely incredible for them to get this point, Matt Smith. Thank you very much. We'll come to you shortly. Manchester City 1, Liverpool 1. We're moments away from that. As we said, for Arsenal, this is an absolutely huge result, isn't it, Matt? If this game was to stay like this, because if they get a result against Brentford, get the 3 points against Brentford, they'll be top of the league.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's... I think Liverpool, they needed maybe something from this game. I think if they had lost this game, there'd have been a little bit... something would have hit them in their heart and they would have gone, oh, damn it, maybe we're not title challengers after all. City are maybe as dominant as ever, but this keeps them in the race. And I think, I think if results go their way elsewhere, if Brentford could maybe do them a little bit of a favour, they can push and they can be in that title race. It's not just a 2-horse race, not just a 1-horse race. They're in with a chance.
Yeah, very much in with a chance. Manchester City really barraging down these doors. Matt, do you think they're going to get away back into this game?
Well, if Manchester City can let them get themselves in a game, they're the team to do it. They're really they're really not giving up. Liverpool are a little bit panicky. Alisson is scuffing a couple of these clearances and giving these City players a chance going forward. I can't really believe he's still making those silly mistakes of a goalkeeper of his quality and a goalkeeper of his stature and experience. He's giving these City players big chances. Corner after corner. He's actually just gone down there. I think he's trying to clear his line and he's holding his hamstring. So that could be a little bit more of a stoppage in play. It could extend this added time from 8 minutes to I don't know what, 15 minutes perhaps. I do not know. We're in the 96th minute. Manchester City 1, Liverpool 1.
Liverpool with that pace though on the counter attack, even though they're camped in their own half right now, they've got to fancy their chances on their counter.
Absolutely right. I think the likes of Mohamed Salah, the likes of Harvey Elliott and Luis Diaz going forward. They're definitely got an outlet. They've definitely got an outlet, and I think that's what they're looking for. Can they soak up the pressure? Guardiola will surely be sending his City men forward. So all it takes is City to just overexpose a little bit and send all the men up, and it's just one little long ball over to Mo Salah, and have a big chance. Manchester City, by the way, Josh, about 10 seconds ago, have had the biggest chance of the game in the 97th minute. It's a corner and it's swung in. Erling Haaland rises and again he's sort of back towards the goal a little bit and he has to try and move his neck right around. It's come off his back, but it does go just inches wide of the goal and Liverpool can take a big breath. We're into the sort of late 97th minute. It is still Manchester City 1, Liverpool 1.
Who is to blame here, Matt, with Liverpool and not with Manchester City not getting this point? Does the blame go to Erling Haaland with his chances he missed earlier? Where will they point fingers at the end of this game?
I don't really think it's a matter of blame. I think it's just in terms of maybe a little bit of cutthroat nature from Manchester City. They haven't really put those chances away. Maybe you can say, okay, maybe we blame Haaland, but blame is a bit of a harsh word. He scored the goal. Without his goal, he hasn't. You're not in this game. You've lost the game without Haaland's goal. So you can't really blame Erling Haaland, but it just seems a little bit lacklustre going forward. And the full-time whistle will surely be blowing very soon, and it'll be a draw.
A draw which Liverpool are going to be very, very happy with. And that is it. Full time between Manchester City and Liverpool. It is 1-1 there. Honours even. Points shared. And they'll be very, very happy with that. For now, though, we're going to Nigeria with SJ and the team.
bet. This is Football Live with Josh Bailey.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Football Live after the excitement that was the Manchester City-Liverpool game, in which Manchester City dominated the 90 minutes, Erling Haaland squandering a number amount of chances despite his goal. And that left the door open for Liverpool just a tiny little bit. And that saw Trent Alexander-Arnold having to get his equaliser, which meant the game ended 1-1. That is my summary of things. But here is Matt Smith, who was the reporter of our match, and his full-time report.
Well, it's finished at the Etihad. Manchester City 1, Liverpool 1. City were dominant in the first 30 minutes, with Liverpool edging closer into the mix of things at times. Alisson was caught out twice with the ball at his feet, with Phil Foden being gifted a chance, but his shot trickled into Alisson's grasp. And then again, Erling Haaland was almost let in within the 6-yard box from Alisson's mistake, but it was cleared by the Liverpool goalkeeper and then the defence. But it was City who took the lead. Alisson rounded off his 2 mistakes with a third. He tried to clear his lines from his hands. He slipped over. Nathan Ake was there to collect the ball just inside the Liverpool half. He played in Erling Haaland, 1 touch from the Norwegian, and he struck his shot across the goal to make it 1-0. He is now the quickest player to reach 50 Premier League goals, and he done it in 48 games, a record breaker again. Half-time, it was 1-0 to Manchester City, and after the break, Julian Alvarez had a wonderful chance to extend City's lead. Jeremy Doku, the star man for City today, cut in from the left, beat McAllister and set it back, but the Argentinian striker lifted his left foot shot over the bar. City did have the ball in the back of the net again. A corner was swung in, Alisson fumbled the ball, Ruben Diaz tapped the ball in, but after close inspection from the VAR officials, they ruled it out for a foul from Akanji on Alisson. Liverpool were lucky to only be 1 behind. They grew frustrated, Liverpool, into the latter stages of the game, but their frustration soothed when Trent Alexander-Arnold struck a wicked shot deep in the corner of the City net to make it 1-1. The right-back underlapped Mo Salah, took 1 touch and rifled the shot past Ederson to give some life to his Liverpool teammates and the fans watching on. It was game on, but that's the way it stayed. Both sides became frustrated. It stayed 1-1. Manchester City would argue they've dropped points. Liverpool would argue that they've gained 1. It's finished at the Etihad. Manchester City 1, Liverpool 1.
It's a huge point, really. A point that does neither side that well, but for everyone else around the league, it does them absolutely incredible things, because Arsenal, they're going to have the opportunity in their game at 5:30 against Brentford. They're visiting the G-Tech Community Stadium at 5:30, so they're going to have a real good opportunity there. You're going to have a real huge opportunity there to go. If they get that 3 points, they will go top of the Premier League table. And as for Tottenham as well, if they beat Aston Villa tomorrow, them two themselves will move to 39 points as well. That's 6:30 in Nigerian time. It's so hard getting used to all these changes in time zones. So yeah, that game as well. So if Tottenham do win against Aston Villa tomorrow, they will also move to 29 points, which could bring the Premier League title race incredibly close. It's going to be some mouth-watering stuff. We do have our 3 o'clock games coming up in 6 minutes' time. Burnley v West Ham. That's been covered by Barry Swain. Barry, if you're there, I'd love to get your report, get your your team news, please. You wasn't there to give it to us earlier, but I'd love to have your report right now.
Oh, you can do just that, Josh. Burnley could equal an unwanted record today and become only the second side in English League history to lose their first 7 league games at home in a season. They have, in fact, lost their last 8 home matches in the Premier League. Of course, they were relegated a couple of years ago, but bounced back. They're on a losing streak of 6 losses. Little wonder they're bottom of the table. With no Jared Bowen, today could be a good time to take on West Ham, who themselves have lost 5 of the last 8 in the Premier League. Burnley, surprisingly, after all their trials and tribulations, are actually unchanged today from the loss away at Arsenal a couple of weeks ago. Hopefully they'll have a better outcome against London opposition this afternoon. For West Ham, one change. Jared Bowen is injured. The former Burnley favourite Danny Ings replacing him in attack. Ings without a goal in 32 appearances. Last time he hit the net was back in April, over 6 months ago. He scored 38 in 122 during his time as a Burnley player here at Turf Moor. Mikel Antonio is also ruled out through injury, but they do have Maxwell Cornet back, West Ham, another former Burnley man, of course. Burnley without a clean sheet in the Premier League this season. West Ham with just 1 clean sheet in the Premier League this season. I should be able to guarantee you goals this afternoon. Josh here at Turf Moor, but you never know. One thing I can guarantee is it's bitterly cold at Turf Moor. It's Burnley against West Ham United.
The latest in-play betting odds from NairaBet.
Yes, the latest odds from NairaBet. Of course, we've heard all the team news from all the English Premier League games. I can give you the odds just before it starts, which you've got about 4 minutes to make your mind up. Right, let's start with Chelsea-Newcastle. Well, in fact, Newcastle-Chelsea. The game is at St James Park. Newcastle are 2.70 for the win. The draw is 3.50, and Chelsea away win is 2.60. They're just slightly, fractionally favourite Chelsea to win that game. Burnley, West Ham, I've just heard from Barry Swain. Burnley are the outsiders in that game, even though they're playing at Turf Moor. They're 3.30 for the win. The draw is 3.40, and West Ham away win is 2.25. Likewise, the away team dominates the odds for Luton against Crystal Palace. Luton are 4.0 for the win at home at Kenilworth Road. The draw is 3.30, and Palace are comfortably favourites at 2.05. Forest, Brighton, another big game as well. Very exciting teams, I must say, both of them in the recent games. Forest, they are 3.50 for the win. The draw is 3.60, and for Brighton, away win is 2.10. As for Sheffield United, Bournemouth, again, you notice all the away teams are all favourites today. Sheffield United, they're 3.40 to the win. The draw is 3.50, and an away win for Bournemouth is 2.15. Now, if you think both teams to score, the odds on the Forest Brighton is 1.75. The odds on Luton Palace is 2.05. Sheffield United Bournemouth is 1.73. Burnley against West Ham is 1.80. Newcastle against Chelsea is 1.50. And of course, I know so many people would love an accumulator putting all of them together. Just quickly update on the latest odds in the German Bundesliga. Some interesting games happening at the moment. Borussia Dortmund are losing at home after 27 minutes by 2-0 to Borussia Mönchengladbach, but they are still only 2.62 for a home win. So the odds are still the Borussia Dortmund are still favourites to overturn that result with 2.60. It's not a lot, but obviously the bookmakers are very confident with that. The draw is 3.80, and for Mönchengladbach away win is 2.50. Wolfsburg are also leading Leipzig by 1-0 after 28 minutes, and Wolfsburg have just gone up to 2.0, even though they're winning at home. 3.75 for the draw and 3.75 for a Leipzig away win. I can tell you the betting in Dortmund and Mönchengladbach has been suspended, which means it's possibly something is occurring in that game. And in fact, no, the odds on Dortmund, just to let you know, has just gone up to 5.50. 5.50 for Dortmund home win. Obviously, they've heard me and they've changed it. As for the draw, it's gone up as well for 4.50. And finally, Josh, the Borussia Mönchengladbach win has just gone down to 1.50. Of course, all these prices are from NairaBet and they're all subject to change. But yeah, the Dortmund game is very interesting, Josh.
Yeah, there's some really, really interesting scores all around Europe right now, especially in the Bundesliga too. We didn't quite catch what John was saying then in terms of the Bundesliga right now. Werder Bremen and Leverkusen. Leverkusen are winning 1-0. Borussia Dortmund losing 2-0 to Borussia Mönchengladbach. They're torrid time, shall we say, in the Premier League, in the Bundesliga continues. It's full time between Barcelona and Real Madrid. Barcelona have got a point there, so it's Rayo Vallecano 1, Barcelona 1, but still that's not really ideal for them. They would have loved to have got those 3 points, and they will be incredibly disappointed with the fact they haven't been able to do so. It's Freiburg v Darmstadt, that is 1-0. Borussia Dortmund have just got to go back against Borussia Mönchengladbach though, so they've halved that deficit. It's now Dortmund 1 and Mönchengladbach 2. As I said, Freiburg are losing to Darmstadt. Union Berlin are drawing 0-0 with Augsburg in their torrid time this season, and Augsburg are currently beating RB Leipzig 1-0, and coming up at 6:30 is Frankfurt v Stuttgart in the Serie A. Salernitana, they are losing 1-0 to Lazio. At 6 o'clock it is Atalanta v Napoli. AC Milan against Fiorentina, that's at 8:45. And then in the Nigerian NFPL, it is at 4 o'clock. It's Heartland v Enemiba. That will be starting pretty much right now. And Remo Stars v Doma United, that is also at 3 o'clock. In the Saudi Pro League, we've just had a game kick off. Al Hazem and Al Hilal, that's at 3 o'clock. And Al Hilal CS and Al Shabab, that's at 7, along with Al Fatah and Al Fahha and Al Weda and Al Khalij. and also Damak and Abach. That is also all coming. Those games are all coming up at 7. In the Serie A at 4:15. So 15 minutes time. It is coming up. It's Valencia v Celta Vigo. It is a Getafe v Almeria. That's at 6:30, and that's Atletico Madrid and Mallorca. That is coming up at 9 o'clock. Those are the games that have already kicked off. And as I said, at 4:30, it's Tel Aviv v Zorya in the Europa Conference League, which is an absolutely incredible. I'll try and get to the reason why. Maybe our producer John Kane can actually find out why the Europa League Conference League is taking place on a Saturday in the group stages. In Ligue 1 as well. At 5 o'clock, it's Clermont v Lens. And then 9 o'clock, it is Strasbourg v Marseille. A couple of games kicking off in the Championship as well. And a couple of games kicking off in the Premier League. How about all our games have kicked off in the Premier League all the way through the Premier League. So we've got Burnley, West Ham, Luton v Crystal Palace, Newcastle v Chelsea, Nottingham Forest v Brighton, Sheffield United v Bournemouth. And coming up at 6:30 is Brentford v Arsenal. And let's start at Newcastle v Chelsea. Then these two teams coming head to head today. The Magpies could remain unbeaten in 3 consecutive Premier League matches, with Chelsea for just the second time after a run of 4 without a loss from April 1994 to September 1995. That's winning 2 and drawing 2. As for Newcastle, well, they fell to defeat to Bournemouth for the international break, and that really sums up a topsy-turvy Premier League campaign, which has seen them lose 4 of their first 12 top 5 fixtures this season. That's as many as they suffered in 2022. They actually suffered 5 defeats in the Premier League last season. So only 1 less in the whole last season. That's absolutely incredible. As for Chelsea, they've turned the ship around, Matthew Key, haven't they? You know, they've got 6. They've won 3 consecutive Premier League away games. They've scored 4 times in 3 of their past 5 league fixtures as well. After a difficult start to the season, Mauricio Pochettino is implementing his style, and he's getting results. And Newcastle is the latest challenge for him in St James Park.
Absolutely, and what a challenge it is. And after games against Tottenham and Man City, it doesn't come much easier for Chelsea. And at the start of the season, scoring goals was their problem, wasn't it? But you look at those last 2 games, 8 goals in them, quite incredible turnaround. And they'll be looking for more here. It's been a bright start from both teams, both looking to get the ball down and play. Really looking forward to this one. 2 minutes gone in the early stages. Newcastle 0, Chelsea 0.
Thank you very much, Matthew Key, with our first goal of the afternoon.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And it is at the City Ground as Nottingham Forest have taken the lead against Brighton. Brighton, who haven't won in 6 Premier League games after the success that was last season. Things just haven't gone to plan this year. And it's Anthony Elanga who has put Nottingham Forest in front. So it's Nottingham Forest 1, Brighton 0. And that is not the start they would have wanted or needed. We will be with Duka soon. But we're going to go to Barry Swain right now because West Ham have just had a chance against Burnley.
Yes, indeed, Josh. It was a break down the left-hand side from West Ham. Paqueta outside of the right boot. Lovely ball in towards Souček. He made a decent run into the penalty area from midfield. He's in good goal-scoring form this season, the Czech. 5 goals in all competition. Tried to loop the ball over the top of James Trafford. Just didn't get enough power on it, really. 3.5 minutes gone. It's still Burnley 0, West Ham United 0.
West Ham themselves, Barry, who they've lost 5 of their last 8 Premier League fixtures, drawing 1 and winning 2. And I think if we forget the Europa League Conference League last year, they struggled in the Premier League, and I think maybe the Europa Conference League masked some of the struggles they had. And this season, it seems like things have continued in that way.
Yeah, it has to a degree. A lot of it comes down to strength in depth, and you look at the West Ham bench today and it tells you quite a lot. I mean, there's no Mikel Antonio, no Jared Bowen, of course, as well. That's a big blow for West Ham. And you know, you look at the 19-year-old Divin Mbama amongst the substitutes. You know, they're starting to stretch the squad when you're playing Thursday, Sunday. You know, so it is a strain on a side like West Ham, and they're going to be tested this afternoon by a Burnley side that are desperate for a win, and Burnley have a corner at the moment in which they're trying to get that early advantage. But they are being stretched. They are doing reasonably well, but they've gone on a little bit of a barren run recently. They'll be glad when this group stage is out of the way for now. There's only a couple more games. Once they get out that group stage, hopefully they'll be able to concentrate solely on the league and a quieter January when the FA Cup comes round with a small winter break as well. But I think David Moyes will want a turn in fortunes. They've not been doing too well of late, West Ham.
And as for Burnley, I mean, they've been doing worse, but we will get on Burnley soon because we've got to go around the Premier League right now. Thank you very much, Barry Swain. We're going to go to Duca now because he has just seen the goal between Nottingham Forest and Brighton, which has put Forest up 1-up.
Yeah, this game has got off to a blistering start. It was a really good run from Morgan Gibbs right on the right-hand side. Brighton were comfortably in possession around the middle of the park, and Nottingham Forest just picked the ball off them, and Morgan Gibbs White has a run down the right-hand side. No one can get close to him. Pascal Gross is huffing and puffing, can't keep up with him. And then Morgan Gibbs White whips in a beautiful ball all the way to the back stick, and Anthony Elanga is there and heads it across Barton Verbruggen's goal and into the bottom corner. And here at the City Ground, it is Nottingham Forest 1, Brighton 0.
For Brighton, Duca, I mean, this really it condemns their sorrows, really. What's going wrong for the team?
I mean, I don't really know, because in the Europa League, they're putting on really good displays, obviously beating Ajax. But in the Premier League, they just seem to be struggling, and I think it's the rotation as well. The squad always seems to be rotating in the Premier League with sort of at least 4 or 5 changes each week. They have no real sort of consistency there, and that's really not helping them in the long run.
It's true, and we've seen the same with West Ham as well. It just seems like having this European football really isn't helping the team, and really isn't helping these teams that go maybe overachieve in the Premier League, don't have the squad then to rotate and to be able to be successful on all fronts. And we're seeing repercussions in both competitions, or in the Premier League, for West Ham and Brighton. Thank you very much, Duca Domba. It is 1-0 to Nottingham Forest there. Let's go to Johnny Holmes now, because Crystal Palace, who are coming up against Luton today, they're away at Luton. They've just had their first chance of the game.
They absolutely have, Josh, and they've been by far the better side. Luton really haven't had a foot on the ball so far, and Crystal Palace have had a couple of very good chances. The earliest of those was from Elise from range. Kaminski had it covered, and it trickled just wide of the goal, but it was a sign of things to come. And just in the last couple of minutes, Edouard fired straight at the Luton goalkeeper. So warning signs early on for the home side here. Luton under a bit of pressure. They need to find a foothold in this one. 0-0, 6 minutes played.
Crystal Palace, another team, Johnny. We've spoke about West Ham and Brighton, who have been struggling and haven't been achieving their heights, and neither of Crystal Palace, when you consider the team they have. They only have 1 win in their last 5, and they lost 3 of their last 4 in the Premier League. Today presents a fantastic opportunity for them to get those 3 points against the Luton team, who have also not won in their last 5.
Yeah, it's one you'd expect them to take, really, based on form and just the starting lineups. I mean, looking at the Crystal Palace lineup in front of me, the pace they've got going forward with Eze, Elise and Edouard and Schlupp, I mean, that's such a dangerous front four that most teams in the league would be fearful of. It's hard to say what the aim for Crystal Palace is, really. You'd say they'd be happy with a sort of mid-table, maybe bottom half of the table finish away from the relegation zone. That's where they tend to be. That's where they are this season. So I think fans will still be happy if they just stay clear of the drop, get a few good points here and there, and today's going to be a great chance to get one of those wins on the board.
Both those Luton have also made their worst start to a season, winning just 1 of their 12 matches. Let's go to Stamford Bridge then. We haven't heard from Matthew Key since we went to him just a few short moments ago. Matthew, any chances? Oh, there we go. Just as he says in my ear, Chelsea have just had a chance, Matthew.
Yeah, it's been a really good game, this, Josh. Really open, but neither side really yet to fashion a chance until just now, and it was Conor Gallagher that had it. Really nice bit of interplay between Chelsea and Gallagher. We sort of associate him with carrying the ball from midfield, and that's exactly what he does here. Takes on a couple of men and then right-footed shot just wide of Nick Pope's post, but he was worried there, the Newcastle goalkeeper, scrambling a bit, but the shot just goes wide. We've had a couple of decent chances. Nicholas Jackson, someone who's scored in a couple of games recently, could have had a shot, instead tried to pass to Sterling. I think a shot was the better option. And Alexander Isak for Newcastle, really good for them to have him back. Such an important player for them. So nice 1-2 with Bruno Guimaraes. pass was forced him a bit wide, and with a right-footed effort, instead of shooting, looked to pull it back. No one there for Newcastle, and we're on not quite quick enough, and Chelsea were able to clear. But really positive game, positive opening here. Both teams going for it, and don't think it'll be too long till we have our first goal. Both teams playing with confidence. 10 minutes gone. Newcastle 0, Chelsea 0.
Newcastle, another team, Matthew, who again have struggled probably with that overachieving aspect last season without any European football, were able to get fourth and get a Champions League, and then really they've not had a great time in the Champions League either. Only one win to date, and that's against PSG at St James Park. Apart from that, a draw against Milan and 2 defeats against Borussia Dortmund back to back. And then in the Premier League, as we said, they've lost 4 games so far out of 12. That's only one less, that's only one less than they did last year, which was 5 out of the whole of last year's campaign. They're another team, haven't they, who have struggled to rotate the squad, dealing with a lot of injuries, and are just again being victims of their own success.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard enough to go from 1 game a week to 2 games a week, but when you're in the Champions League and you're required to put your strongest team out throughout the competition with no easy games, obviously, it's become such a challenge for them, and the amount of injuries they've had would have been tough for any side. They've got Lewis Miley playing, 17-year-old. He looks really comfortable and confident player, but wow, it's some game for a 17-year-old to be put into, and played against Dortmund as well. I think Eddie Howe would have looked at that game a couple of weeks ago against Arsenal and thought that might be a turning point, but not quite yet. But we'll see if it can be today. 11 minutes gone, still Newcastle 0, Chelsea 0.
We were about to go to Tom because we wanted an update from Bramall Lane, but when we next go to him, we'll be with a goal because we do have a goal at Sheffield United.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And it's for the away team, Bournemouth, who have taken the lead at Bramall Lane. Sheffield United 1, Bournemouth 0. Both teams, it's a 6-pointer, as Tom described beautifully earlier on in the show. The fact that both teams only 1 win so far this Premier League campaign, have really struggled to get into the 3 points. A lot of draws for Bournemouth as well. So today presents a fantastic opportunity in that relegation scrap just to jump out of it. And for Bournemouth today, they will currently now be on 10 points. Moving Sheffield United back into 18th with 6 points themselves. So for Bournemouth and Sheffield United, it's James Tavernier with the goal. And let's now go to, we were about to go to Tom, but let's now go to, well, we're going to go to Newcastle because we do have a goal there.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
And it's Newcastle who have taken the lead against Chelsea, Matthew Key.
It certainly is, Josh, and it's that man, Alexander Isak. He is back, and he is back in the goals. 1-0 to Newcastle, and it was a finish of a man that looked like he'd never been away. Don't know how he's been allowed so much room in the box. It's criminal Chelsea defending, but he's taken it on his right foot with his back foot, turned and finished it with that same right foot. Top corner. I think it's the 17-year-old Lewis Miley that has found him superbly. He slid him in through the Chelsea defence, which just split for whatever reason. And as I say, seriously composed finish from Isak. They've missed his goals, but he is back. It's a brilliant pass from Lewis Miley. It's gone for about 4 Chelsea players. Kukureya's playing Isak on. He puts his hand in the air. He's the guilty party that's keeping him on, I'm afraid. It's deadlock broken, as I said it would be, and it's Alexander Isak. Newcastle 1, Chelsea 0.
Such a tough place to go to, Newcastle, isn't it? The fact they're now aiming to win their 5th successive top-flight home game without conceding for just the 2nd time. That's the first time in 116 years Eddie Jones has made that place a fortress, and they're definitely reaping their rewards in this game today against Chelsea. An early mountain to climb for Mauricio Pochettino's men. Let's go to Tom now. Tell us about that Bournemouth goal, which has put the cherries in front.
Josh, I wouldn't say it's been coming in terms of chances, but since after about a minute, it's been all Bournemouth in terms of the possession, just knocking it around back and forth. Sheffield haven't been in the game. So in that sense, maybe the goal was coming. It's a poor one from Sheffield's perspective. Semenyo has the ball on the right-hand side. He cuts inside. He dribbles for a little bit unmarked, and he plays a pass into Marcus Tavernier. I don't really know what happens. I think one of the defenders maybe drops in too deep to play Tavernier onside. He takes a very simple touch inside to sell his man. and slots it past the keeper. Bournemouth's first real chance of the game, the first real chance for either side. And it's 1-0 with 13 minutes gone. Sheffield 0, Bournemouth 1.
I did say there that the Bournemouth had only won one game this season, but in fact it is two. So this would be their third win of the season, which just seems that they're turning the ship around under Adoni Areola, who have dropped 11 points from winning positions this term, are jointly high with Brentford and Burnley, Sheffield United, and not quite out of this just yet. And bearing in mind there's only 15 minutes gone in that game. They've got a whole trying to do a little bit of math. 75 minutes to turn this game around. Let's go to Barry Swain now, because Burnley are hosting West Ham today. Have just had a big chance.
Yeah, I promised goals. We haven't got any yet. But I tell you what, Burnley were very unlucky not to take the lead just a couple of minutes ago. The two strikers are playing with two up top. Jay Rodriguez, vastly experienced, 34-year-old, down the right-hand side. And he put a really good ball in across the face of the 6-yard box. In slid the Swiss strike partner for this afternoon, Zeki Amdouini, and he slid in, and he must have missed it by a matter of inches. Just the merest of touches would have taken the ball beyond Areola and into the far corner. Good last 5 minutes or so for Burnley. They've really stepped up a gear after a good start for West Ham United. Bitterly cold here. We're still waiting for that first goal. But I tell you what, Josh, it's a decent game. It's Burnley 0, West Ham 0, and we've played just over 15 minutes.
Bournemouth, they're trying to get their second, aren't they, Tom? They've got their first. They want to double their advantage there, and they just came really close to doing so.
Yeah, and it was Marcus Tavernier again. This time it was from the left-hand side, but Bournemouth played it. They got to the byline. It was pulled back, and it's a kind of a 50-50 in between Tavernier and the defender. Tavernier gets there first. He gets only a poke on it, and it's right into the keeper. A bit more, and the keeper, was 6 yards out. He was stranded there. Worrying times for Sheffield. They've shown nothing in the opening 15 minutes in this game, and Bournemouth, after that first goal, look now to maybe be turning the screw. 15 minutes gone. Sheffield 0, Bournemouth 1.
It's a rare sight to see Bournemouth doing this well on the road. They've just taken 1 point from a possible 15 on their travels this season, conceding a league-high 17 away goals. That's for Sheffield United. Well, Paul Martin's side, they've taken 4 points in their last 2 league matches. That's as many as they did in their previous 12 top flight. So really, this is not a result so far that we would have really predicted, as we said. In the Saudi Pro League, we have Al Hilal. They have just taken the lead, and they are now beating Mitrovic 1-0. Tavernier with the goal for Bournemouth, and it's 1-0. We just had another chance for Newcastle then, who took the lead through Alexander Isaac just a few short minutes ago. Matthew Key and Chelsea, they're on the rocks. They're in choppy waters. Are they going to be able to survive these next few minutes, or are Newcastle going to get that second?
Well, I'll tell you, Josh, it's vital that they do, because St James is absolutely rocking at the moment. We know what it's like when Newcastle go a goal up and Chelsea are being put to the sword a bit here at the moment, and it was actually a Newcastle player that might have stopped it being 2-0. A free kick whipped in by Trippier. You know what his delivery's like. Absolutely brilliant. It is once again, and Cucurella manages to get something on it, but it falls to Fabian Schär, the centre-back, and he hits such a sweet half volley with his right foot. Heading goal bound, Sanchez has dived across to save it. He's struggling, but it's blocked by who else but Jamal Lascelles. Schär's centre-back partner knew nothing about it. In fairness to him, nothing he could do about it, but just hit him and stopped it from being goal bound. The odds reflecting that as well. Newcastle down to 1.7 on NairaBet, with Chelsea up to 5. Those odds, of course, subject to change, and of course on nairabet.com. 18 minutes gone, Newcastle 1, Chelsea 0.
It's not just John Kane that can give us the odds, is it? It's Matthew Key as well. Thank you very much, Matthew, between Newcastle and Chelsea. Matt, just bring you back in quickly. Just what do Chelsea need to do? What are they not doing so far in this game that have brought them success against City, Spurs and Arsenal in recent weeks? Where are they lacking right now?
Well, they were keeping the ball quite well the first 10 minutes or so, but since that Newcastle goal, they have been rocked. It's like a boxer that's been caught by a punch and then just struggling to stay in the game bit. They just need to get their foot on the ball for 5-10 minutes, keep it round, and then get this crowd quietened again and start to create chances, because they had started the game quite well, and you wouldn't quite say Newcastle's goal was against the run of play, but it looks like we've got an injury there, Josh. This is awful this could be bad news for Newcastle, because Anthony Gordon has just gone down completely off the ball. Looks in some discomfort here. give you an update on that when I next have it. But this doesn't look good for an already long Newcastle injury list. Newcastle 1, Chelsea 0.
Those off-the-ball injuries are never good, are they? You never really see a player. It's the ones you dread when you see a player go down off the ball, and it normally spells the end of their game and sometimes spells the end of their season, or at least for a few months or so. So we've got to hope that Gantino is going to be okay, especially for Newcastle with an injury list that is ever growing. He's been their star standout player this season, and it would be incredibly concerning and would be incredibly damning if he was to be injured. So we'll keep an eye out on that one. We'll go back to Matthew Key shortly. We're going to go to Duka Dobman now, just to tell us about the chance with Brighton, who are looking to get a way back into this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's been all Brighton ever since Forest took the lead, but it's a really, really good chance. It's Billy Gilmour on the edge of the area. There's a brilliant bit of play prior to that between Pascal Gross and Evan Ferguson, and then Lallana Pascal Gross, just sort of just pulls it back to Billy Gilmour, who has a shot, but the goalkeeper is down quickly to save it. But it is all Brighton at the minute. Nottingham Forest 1, Brighton 0.
As for Nottingham Forest this season, Duka, in terms of them, they're 12th currently. With this win, they will move up to 12th. They'd have 4 wins so far this season. There've been rumours, but I've seen talks on social media about Steve Cooper and potentially in leaving Nottingham Forest or getting the chop at Nottingham Forest. Last year, he could have at one point managed to turn it around, and their board's faith in Cooper and in their manager, their faith was rewarded. This season, however, what do you think on Steve Cooper? Do you think that if he was to win this game, he'd be looking, stepping further down and maybe looking more to lose his job at Nottingham Forest?
I mean, it's an interesting one because it's all sort of based on the money that Nottingham Forest has spent on transfers and stuff. Obviously, with the money they've spent, you're looking at them maybe even pushing top half, and obviously they're not. They're sort of languishing around mid-table and trying to miss out on those relegation spots. But the job that Steve Cooper has done with Nottingham Forest, especially from down in the Championship and bringing them all the way up into the Premier League, I think you really can't miss that. But is it a case of maybe taking them as far as he can and maybe someone else needs to take over? But, I mean, Nottingham Forest haven't really been far off this season, even in the games that they have lost. For example, to the one to West Ham not too long ago. It was only by 1 goal. It's not really been massive margins that they've really lost by. So, yeah, I think Nottingham Forest do just have to keep faith in Steve Cooper.
There we go. Thank you very much, Duka. The faith in Steve Cooper, that's what he thinks for now. And right now, they're reaping their rewards on that because they're winning 1-0 against Brighton. Chances flying all over the Premier League. We're going to go to Chelsea, where Kieran Trippier has got a yellow card, but just before that, they had a big opportunity to make it 1-0.
Yeah, it's one of those, Josh, where yellow card almost doesn't seem like enough punishment. Chelsea won the ball back, counter-attack really quickly, and all of a sudden it's Sterling and Palmer, 3-on-2 attack for Chelsea, and Sterling fakes the pass to Palmer, goes on his own, which takes Joe Linton out the game, and Trippier brings him down. Free kick for Chelsea in a dangerous position. They'll look to capitalise.
Thank you, Matthew Key. Let's go to Bramwell Lane now, where Bournemouth are trying to ump up the pressure. They have their first, they want their second. Actually, no, before we do, we are going to go back to James's Park because Chelsea are back in it.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
It's 1-1, Matthew Key.
Yeah, well, that free kick, punishment enough indeed. What a strike from Raheem Sterling. That is, he picks himself up after the free kick, and oh my word, he bent it with his right foot up and over the wall. It has dipped so much at the end. Nick Pope just stands there, absolutely no chance. What a strike from Raheem Sterling that is. Chelsea out of nowhere really, back in the game, capitalise on a Newcastle error. But that is quality from Raheem Sterling. That is what he has done for years in the Premier League, and he's in some form at the moment. What a player, what a free kick. Wow, Chelsea back in it. Newcastle 1, Chelsea 1.
Raheem Sterling was coming fresh off the international break. He did not feature for the England team yet again, and many people, after his form for Chelsea this year, and also how he always delivers for England too, many people questioning Gareth Southgate, asking why he is not featured in this team. and he's really answering Southgate and hitting back straight away. A beautiful free kick, which puts Chelsea level. A moment of brilliance, and that's exactly what Mauricio Pochettino's team needed to get back into this game. Do not forget as well, you are listening to Football Live.
Secure an instant win with NairaBet when your team leads by 2 goals in the match. How many times has one of your betting selections had a meltdown after going 2 goals up? Don't stress. With our new 2 goals up market, if your selection goes 2 or more goals ahead at any stage in the match, then your selection will be settled as a winner, regardless of the final match result. Place your bets on the 2 goals up football market at www.nairabet.com. Include the 2 goals up selections in your bet slip with as many other selections as you want. For more details, check out our promotions page. Full terms and conditions apply. Must be over 18. Bets placed on the match winner market do not qualify. Markets available on pre-match bets only. Please gamble responsibly.
We are here to bring you the goals.
You are listening
to Football Live.
It's absolutely unbelievable.
On Brila FM.
You couldn't miss it if you tried.
Football Live. Football's never sounded so good on Brilla FM every Saturday and Sunday.
More big match action coming your way tomorrow on Football Live. 2 teams with their eyes on a top 4 finish come face to face as Tottenham Hotspur take on Aston Villa. Then Everton, in their first match since that 10-point deduction, take on Manchester United. In Spain, Real Sociedad are up against Sevilla. In Germany, our featured match is Hoffenheim against Mainz. And in Italy, Udinese go to Jose Mourinho's Roma. 4.5 hours of action-packed live football coverage from 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Join Chris Baldwin and his reporters for a massive afternoon of top-of-the-table football coverage, exclusive, of course, to Brila FM.
And you could not have scripted this.
It's a very erotic voice, by the way.
And Sean Dyson.
I have gravel for breakfast.
Liverpool are leaving gaps left, right and centre.
Unbelievable.
Oh, Liverpool fans. Oh, Liverpool fans. Your emotions must be going all over the place.
Boom.
Liverpool 7, Manchester United 0. This is just incredible.
We lack belief.
You'll struggle to find a better team in form than Unai Emery's Aston Villa.
But very happy. It's very good.
4 hours of football every Saturday and Sunday on Brila FM with Football Live.
Football Live will be back very shortly, right here on Brila FM.
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Josh Bailey.
Let's get back amongst the action, shall we? And we're going to start it off with a goal.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
It's the Brighton wonder kid yet again, Evan Ferguson, who has brought the Seagulls level, Duke Adumba.
Yes, he has. And it's a brilliant bit of play as well from Brighton, and they've deserved this equaliser. It was a brilliant ball from Pascal Gross, which was dummy by Adam Lallana. Fell so kindly to Evan Ferguson, who takes a touch, goes inside and wraps it into the bottom corner. Nothing the goalkeeper could do about that. Brighton did also just make a change because Ansu Fati did go off injured and João Pedro has come on. But Brighton, again, fully deserved this equaliser, and it's at the minute City ground. It's Nottingham Forest 1, Brighton 1.
Brighton falling behind early on to an Ante Elanga goal, but they've not been disparaged by that, and they've got themselves level once again, and let's hope they can turn it around if you are a Brighton fan. We're going to go to Tom now, because Bournemouth, as we say, had their first, but they're pressuring the Sheffield United defence to get their second.
Yeah, it's been really difficult viewing if you're a Sheffield United fan so far. Only 25 minutes gone, but on one hand, you're almost thinking about the half-time whistle. Another couple of chances for Bournemouth. The first one, it was Tavernier involved again. A nice dummy that brought the ball to Kluivert on the edge of the area. He shifted it onto his right foot and rifled one into the near post side netting. The keeper was beaten if it went the other side of the post. And just a couple of minutes later, Solanke, fresh off a brace in his last game, he got into the action, controlling a ball from the left-hand side. He popped it quite high and took the angle a little bit too wide for himself and smashed it into the same side netting. 27 minutes gone now, sorry, not 25, and it's still Sheffield United 0, Bournemouth 1. They're knocking on the door for a second.
Still 0-0 between Luton and Crystal Palace, but I feel like that's got something to do with the man, the Luton goal, Kaminski, who's kept the scores 0-0.
It was stunning. Stunning double save by Kaminski as Eze has a shot from long range. It's drilled hard and low. Kaminski's down to it. That's impressive enough. But he's up like a flash because on the end of that parried rebound is Edouard for Crystal Palace, who in turn drills it low and hard, and Kaminski's down to that one as well. It's a brilliant double stop. That really could have been Crystal Palace in front, and Luton's home fans have got to thank their goalkeeper, as you say, for keeping the scores at 0-0 with 28 minutes played here.
Somehow Kaminski, what a hero. And let's go to Burnley because they are dominating West Ham right now, having all the chances. They've just had another one, Barry Swain.
Yeah, we've had about 10 minutes of absolutely nothing happening, and then suddenly Burnley have come back into life again. Lovely layoff inside the penalty area from Zeki Amdouini, and he's teed it up for Luca Cogliosho, the 19-year-old Italian who was born in America, signed in the summer from Spanish side of Espanyol. He's opened up his body, he's got the shot in, he's got the power and the accuracy on it, and it's pushed away. A really good save from Alphonse Areola in the West Ham United goal. You know, it's even Stevens at the moment, not too many chances. I'd say Burnley are slightly on top. I'm not one like Matt Key to give out odds, but I will give you a little tip here. I'm liking the look of Souček in a more advanced position in the attacking midfield for West Ham. Maybe with 5 goals this season, he might be a good bet for the first goal scorer in this game at Turf Moor, if of course we do get a goal. It's currently Burnley 0, West Ham United 0.
So let's go around up of the scores then, because it has been a dramatic start to Football Live in our second half of the show with our 3 o'clock games. So just to confirm for you, it's Burnley 0, West Ham 0, Luton 0, Crystal Palace 0. Goals in the games against Newcastle and Chelsea 1-0, and Nottingham Forest with Brighton 1-0 there too. And Sheffield United are currently losing to Bournemouth. Bournemouth, who have dominated proceedings there and probably should be out of sight and out of mind, but they're not right now. Team that really should be outside, out of mind, Chelsea. They've completely flipped this game on their head, haven't they, Matthew Key? It was all Newcastle since before that Raheem Sterling goal. Then a moment of brilliance from a free kick has put Chelsea, has spurred Chelsea into life, and now Nick Pope has had to just produce a big save to make sure that his team haven't fallen behind in quick succession.
Yeah, Chelsea almost completing the comeback, and what a response it's been. To go behind to that early Newcastle goal. It was Newcastle that should have taken the lead again first. It was a corner, uncharacteristic mistake from Thiago Silva, and it was whipped into the back post. And Robert Sanchez went down. He was injured. Well, but it looked like it was one of his own players that caused it. And Joe Linton watched it all the way to the back post. Just had to hit the target and put it wide with the goal gaping. So that should have been 2-1 Newcastle. And then some beautiful counter-attacking football from Chelsea. Once again, Reece James getting up from right back, and he pulls back a brilliant cross to Enzo Fernandez, who's running onto it. Hits a really a sweet right-footed shot, curling towards the goal. Nick Pope saw it really late and just managed to tip it behind. The great save, and he was called into action once again from the corner. Cucurella getting a header onto it, but didn't have the pace to trouble Pope that time. 32 minutes gone. This game's really sprung into life. Fantastic watch. 32 minutes gone. Newcastle 1, Chelsea 1.
Let's bring in John Kane now. John, to talk about the Manchester City-Liverpool game earlier, which ended 1-1. Erling Haaland scored a goal in the first half, and he should have had a few more in the second, but due to his wastefulness and a strong Liverpool bench, which was able to turn the game around, Trent Alexander-Arnold getting on the goals to make it 1-1. John, what was your take from the game within the 90 minutes between Manchester City-Liverpool?
To be honest with you, I mean, with the chances that we've seen with Manchester City, I thought they would be scoring more goals, and I think Haaland is quite guilty of that. I mean, Haaland, obviously, he beat in the record scoring the first 50 goals in less number of games in the history of the Premier League. But when you look at the players people that he's beaten, people like Alan Shearer, Ruud van Nistelrooy, and Mo Salah, I'm not saying they're all weaker teams, but Man City is sort of the special team, isn't it? And you think with the chances that get provided to him, he would be scoring more goals. And what would Alan Shearer, Van Nistelrooy would have done? Would they have scored more goals if they're playing in a team like a Manchester City? I think there's a big question mark on him. His work rate is brilliant, and he does score goals. And we're probably a bit too harsh on him. But at the end of the day, when you get certain chances in big games like that, and you're playing at home against Liverpool, it's a waste of points, waste of chances, waste of points, waste of goals, waste of everything. And I think if I was a Man City fan, I don't think I'd be happy with that 1 point taken today at Etihad Stadium.
As for Liverpool, I mean, they would be happy with it, wouldn't they? But I guess for Liverpool, you've got to look at this again. Time and time again, they're falling behind in these games. And if they were to start how they ended them, things might be different for them. They could be running away with this Premier League. That's an issue they've got to diagnose.
No, absolutely. And I don't know if you, obviously, when we were having a chat earlier about that game, and I said Luis Diaz is a player that needs to start all the time for Liverpool. His influence straight away was shown, wasn't it? The minute he actually came out on the pitch, and obviously they have equalised, and they had more chances and dominated towards the last 20 minutes or so of that match. Now you imagine if someone of his caliber was starting that game, it would have been probably a different game. Probably would have been 3 points for Liverpool. I honestly think so. I really highly rate Luis Diaz. Obviously, I appreciate that he's just coming back from some personal issues. But if he wasn't available, he shouldn't be in the bench then. But he's available, and personally, I would prefer him to Darren Núñez going up front with Mo Salah and Diego Jota.
As for, we'll get to Barcelona in a minute because you just thought about a big Burnley chance. I mean, as for this game in general, a 1-0 does neither team fantastically, does it? But one team that it does really help is Arsenal. Win against Brentford today, and they can be top of the league. We know we have a lot of Arsenal fans listening in here on Brilla FM. Today's game against Brentford just has a whole new meaning, isn't it? Because it's not many times you get to go top of the league, and not many times you see Manchester City dropping points, especially at home.
No, absolutely. I mean, Arsenal fans were thinking, oh, thank you very much. That's the result that we actually were looking for, and even Tottenham fans tomorrow, they're saying exactly the same thing. They'll go level on points with Man City if they win, but Arsenal, they can go top of the league tonight if they beat Brentford. But again, Brentford is not an easy side, and you're playing away from home. Brentford results this season has been really good. I know people say you should be comparing, but we have to compare the facilities, the money, the generates every club does, in not just in the Premier League, but everywhere as a whole. And Arsenal should be winning that game, but on the results, on the resources, and lack of Ivan Toney in that squad. Obviously, Mbeumo is doing a great job for them, but they are missing a key striker here, and they've actually been scoring goals. It's not going to be very easy for Arsenal, I must say, but if they can just push a bit harder tonight, they'll go top of the league.
We'll talk about Arsenal Brentford later, but that's a nice little teaser for what we're going to be discussing later on in the show. Let's go to Barry Swain now. Another Burnley chance. Barry, how are they not in front in this game? Every time we come to you, it's because Burnley have tested the West Ham goal, but they still can't get that goal.
Well, that's probably why the bottom of the league, Josh, is just not quite sharp enough in attack, and they're just a little bit too slack. Look, we're seeing another shot just now. Dara O'Shea, 25 yards out. It's a decent chance on the volley, and he smashed it into the crowd, high over the top of the crossbar. We've just seen Jordan Bayer, the Burnley central defender, pick up a needless yellow card, a shirt pull on Paqueta. He doesn't need to give away that free kick on a halfway line with a shirt pull. That gives away a free kick and a yellow card, and now he's walking a tightrope. But we've just seen a really big chance for Burnley. Vertino getting forward in the right back position, as he has done a couple of times this half. He's whipped in another really good cross, and Zeki Amdouini with a glancing header that fell just the wrong side of the far post, with Alfonso Areola in the West Ham goal beaten. West Ham have gone very flat after a really good start to this game. Burnley, without a shadow of doubt, are the better side at the moment, but it's still in a battle of the Claret and Blues. West Ham, by the way, in white today. It's still Burnley 0, West Ham United 0.
Are West Ham missing Jarrod Bowen right now? Are they missing the players who haven't been able to start this game through injury, or is it a case of they're just playing badly?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think they are missing Jarrod Bowen, and they're playing with Danny Ings up front. And I like Danny Ings. I think he's a really good player, but he hasn't scored for 32 games. Any striker worth his salt that hasn't scored for 32 games is going to be struggling. By the way, Burnley just had a big shout for a penalty, and it's that man Koleosha down the left-hand side, and he's weaved into the penalty area, and it looks a big claim. Koufal has stretched out. He's not got the ball. Alvarez has just got a yellow card for it. I don't think the referee is going to listen to VAR, so there is a penalty shout here at the moment. The referee's not given it, VAR might. So changing the subjects very slightly there, Burnley could have a penalty if VAR lean in their direction. I'll just stay with me because I'll see it a second time here on the monitor. The ball's gone, and he's kind of run into Koufal from the angle that I'm seeing. It's got to be a little bit more a little bit more in it for me, and the referee had a good position. I don't think it's given, but then we are talking about VAR, so it probably will be a penalty, Josh. But it's still, at the moment, 0-0, and VAR are checking.
We know if he goes to the monitor, it will be given 9 times out of 10, and I can tell you that it has not been given. So as it is Barry Swain there, the goal has not been given. So Burnley probably needed a chance from 12 yards out from the penalty spot to give them a goal in that game. They're not going to get it, and still their slog goes on. We're going to go to Duka Dobma now, who is watching over this Nottingham Forest Brighton game. The Nottingham Forest game that having a lot of goals, but also a lot of injuries too.
Yeah, obviously we spoke earlier about sort of squad depth with Brighton and the amount of changes they do make, and already they've had to make 2 substitutions in this first half. Obviously the first one, Ansu Fati got injured and João Pedro come on, and just now Tariq Lamptey has got injured and youngster Jack Hinchelwood has come on for him and playing at left back when he's traditionally a centre midfielder. So you can see they're very light in all areas of the pitch, and there will be a bit of a struggle for Brighton despite their dominance in this game. If these injuries and keep racking up, they are going to struggle come the end of this game.
Conor Gallagher was on his way out of Chelsea before Mauricio Pochettino arrived, and he's found a new lease of life. And he's found that his team have found a new lease of life in this game after falling 1-0 down after an early Isaac goal. Raheem Sterling's dragged them back in it, and it's Gallagher who has nearly put Newcastle ahead.
Yeah, that's right, Josh. And you're bang on with what you said about Conor Gallagher. He was almost sold to Newcastle in the summer, but he's one of Chelsea's most influential players, and don't think for 1 minute they should have even considered selling him. But he's just lacked a bit of composure here. It's not his first chance he's had in this game, and we saw Alisson have a bit of a howler earlier with his kicking out from the back, and Nick Pope did exactly the same. Tried to clear it, sweep it out wide, went straight to Conor Gallagher, and he did the first bit brilliantly. Went round his man superbly, and with that composure we're so used to seeing from him, just evaded him for a second, snatched at his shot. It was a really good chance, and he put it wide. That probably should have been another goal for Chelsea. Still 1-0, but it could be either side could have scored once again. We're in the 42nd minute now. Newcastle free kick in a dangerous position after we've just seen Badashile pick up a yellow card for a foul on Anthony Gordon. 42 minutes gone. This game still full of life. 4 minutes before the break, it's Newcastle 1, Chelsea 1.
A few drab affairs on Football Live so far. We don't like to use that word because we like to make these games sound so brilliantly exciting, but when a game isn't producing the quality that we like, we have to report and we have to describe it, and that is the case at Luton v Crystal Palace right now. 0-0. A Kaminski double save has really been the only highlight of this game so far, Johnny Holmes.
It has, yeah, that was definitely the standout moment so far. I mean, yeah, you speak about drab, you speak about scrappy. I'll try and make it sound a bit more exciting for you. There was a shot from 30 yards from Luton. It was very speculative, but if you don't buy a ticket, as they say. And Luton also had a ball fired across the 6-yard box. Morris was lurking, stretching for it, didn't quite get on the end of it. And a effort from Schlupp for Crystal Palace, unfortunately for him, was deflected behind for a corner, and that came to absolutely nothing. Nothing else of note to really discuss here, Josh, but I'll keep an eye on it. 40 minutes played, 0-0 between Luton and Crystal Palace.
Drab is the word for Sheffield United, Bournemouth as well. It was a lightning start for the Cherries, and after their goal, they were searching desperately for that second, but now things have calmed down and the match is getting a little bit scrappy, Tom.
Yeah, the last 15 minutes hasn't been great, Josh, but you probably have to say credit to Sheffield United because the opening 20 minutes or so, it could have been 2, could have been 3, possibly even more. So for Sheffield, they'll be happier now. They are finding a way to get on the ball, progress it up the pitch. They've had a few opportunities in the final third where maybe, they haven't picked the right pass, but you have to say now they are in the game. As for Bournemouth, they're still passing the ball around nicely, but it's not as free-flowing as it was in the opening 20 minutes. We've got about 3 minutes to go until half-time. Not sure how much will get added on, but it remains Sheffield United 0, Bournemouth 1.
Newcastle agonisingly close to getting their second. Kieran Trippier off the bar.
Yeah, well, we saw one spectacular free kick in this first half, Josh, and we've almost seen another. And it was the man that gave away the free kick for Chelsea's goal, Kieran Trippier. We know how good he is from these set-piece situations. You've seen him do it a number of times before. And right-footed shot, bit more whip on it than Sterling, which had more of the dip on it. Trippier steps up, laces through it. Oh, what a strike it is. Sanchez scrambling, full length dive, couldn't get there, but the bar comes to Chelsea's rescue, a few inches away from Trippier making up for his earlier foul, and a few inches away from Newcastle regaining the lead. What a game this is, Josh. 1 minute before half time. It's still Newcastle 1, Chelsea 1, but only just.
If you have any West Ham fans listening to the show, you might want to listen a bit carefully because they have just had their first chance of note of the game, Barry Swain.
We had that little lob in the first couple of minutes, didn't we, from Thomas Souček? And I did mention halfway through the half, he's looking the most lively player for West Ham United. So no surprise, it just had a corner. Ball played into the near post. It needs one of those little deft glances, which is not always easy to do because it's coming straight at him. And it goes smack right on his forehead and goes straight behind for a goal kick. And one thing I did notice, I've just got a camera close up on the monitor alongside me here, Souček. He's got this massive, great, muddy mark on his forehead. So it was definitely him that got ahead. You could see the marks of the ball on his forehead. It's a while since we've seen that. And the silly thing is, there's no mud on the pitch, but there is plenty of mud on his head where you can see where the ball's hit it. West Ham starting to come into it. Burnley just had a free kick, which was played into the box, but Jordan Bayer was unable to get went underneath it a little bit and glanced it well wide for a goal kick. Still Burnley 0, West Ham 0. We're in stoppage time at the end of the first half.
Thank you, Barry Swain. It's now Luton Crystal Palace, which is the London derby on the show today. We said it was a drab affair, but now chances, they're coming like buses, really. They're coming all at once.
Yeah, commentator's curse, perhaps. I mean, it's suddenly an end-to-end game out of absolutely nowhere. We've got some excitement here, Josh, as Tom Lockyer gets on the end of a corner for Luton. It's a bit of a salmon out of water sort of leak. He's not really got anything on it. It's sort of deflected off his head onto his shoulder and bobbled towards the goal, but it did go goalwards, albeit slightly over. And then right down the other end go Crystal Palace. It's Eze, fine schlup on the overlap. He tries to divert across, but it is deflected away. But a little bit of excitement injected into this game. That's what you want to see. Will we get some more of it? Lockyer's just been booked for Luton. It's 0-0 between the two sides, 45 minutes played.
It's Forest who took the lead early on against Brighton, Duka, but they've been paid back since Brighton. It's Egan Ferguson with the goal. However, they're looking to get themselves back in front.
Yeah, a really good chance for Chris Wood, actually. Morgan Gibbs-White on the right-hand side again. He's been sort of the main outlet for Nottingham Forest so far. He gets the ball again into the back post, and Chris Wood just can't get enough power on the header and just kind of just falls straight into the arms of Bart Verbruggen. But also the big question marks today were, how were Nottingham Forest going to fare without Tyler Awoniyi, and how is Chris Wood going to do? So far, he's led the line quite well, and he's got himself a chance. So there are positives from Nottingham Forest so far. But as it stands at the City Ground, Nottingham Forest 1, Brighton 1.
We know Bournemouth have struggled for goals this season, and we're seeing this issue glaring in the Sheffield United game. Unless it's Dominic Solanke finding the back of the net, they really can't seem to do it. And it's edge for James Tavernier. As soon as I say that, they've only gone and done it. It's 2-0.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Bournemouth, well deserved, have their second in that game. They've really been troubling the Sheffield United defence, and they've seen a lot of chances go to waste. However, just before half-time, just as we get into the injury time and creep into those final few seconds, they've got their second, and that is going to make things very, very comfortable for them. And it's going to be a very happy dressing room. And Brighton have got their second as well.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Back-to-back goals here on Football Live right before half-time. Brighton turning things around, and it's Pedro who has done so, turning it around. Nottingham Forest 1, Brighton 2. Well done, Brighton. You've got to give the congratulations to them after their 6-game winless streak. You wouldn't have blamed them for putting their heads down and really getting bogged down with the fact that Elanga had put his team in front. But good teams, they don't get their head down. They're confident in what they play and they're confident in what they do. And that's exactly what Brighton have done there. Nottingham Forest 1, Brighton 2, Sheffield United 0, Bournemouth 2. The half-time whistle has gone between Burnley and West Ham. It's a 0-0 there, and the half-time whistle has gone between today's game of the day, between Newcastle and Chelsea. It's 1-1 there. We are going to go to Matthew Key now just to get a half-time report, which has been an enthralling and captivating game at St James's Park.
Yes, this one has not let us down. We were excited for it in the build-up, and it has delivered. 1 goal each for these two sides. Really well taken. Firstly, for Newcastle, Alexander Isak back in the team, back in the goals, and then a brilliant free kick for Raheem Sterling to make the scores level. We've had chances at both ends. We've had cards. We've had corners. We've had it all here, Josh, except nicely for once, no VAR controversy. There was even a little bit of something at the end of the first half after Reece James was fouled by Joe Linton, the Newcastle player, and then Reece James and Eddie Howe seemed to exchange opinions. I don't think it was all too friendly, so that might add something a little bit extra into what was an excellent first half. Half time here at St James's Park. Newcastle 1, Chelsea 1.
Let's go to Tom now. Tell us about that Bournemouth goal.
Josh, it's an absolute howler from the goalkeeper, Wes Foderingham. I thought Sheffield United had got to half-time at 1-0. Tavernier spurned a chance just a moment ago. And it's actually Sheffield United that looked to have had the first chance of the half. Bournemouth clear, and Foderingham collects the ball. The minutes are up. All he has to do is clear the ball, and the half-time whistle's going to go. He loses his concentration. I think he stands on the ball and messes up his touch, and Justin Kluivert is hovering. It's a catastrophe, and he takes it. He's got a bit of an angle, but the net is empty, and he side foots it from just outside the box on the right-hand side into the empty net. Unbelievable here. It's an absolute gift, and now they've got a mountain to climb. The half-time whistle's just gone. Sheffield United 0, Bournemouth 2.
After doing so well to stay in this game, Sheffield United, it's an individual mistake that undoes all their hard work, and they're going to be absolutely gutted going into that half-time dressing room. Let's go to Duka Dobma now. Tell us about this Brighton goal. We just put them 2-1 up before half-time.
Yes, and I tell you what, that is an unbelievable header from João Pedro. And it's a fantastic cross from Pascal Gross, getting his second assist of the game now. On the right-hand side, just whips it in. And you know what? It's closer to the edge of the 18-yard box, if anything, where João Pedro leaps up like a salmon for the header and finds the bottom corner past the Nottingham Forest goalkeeper, who is outstretched. And it's a well-deserved lead for Brighton and Hove Albion. Obviously, they've had their troubles this half of injuries and having to make substitutions. But it's one of those substitutions that's put them ahead in this game after that 6-game winless run, and they're on way here to get all 3 points at the City Ground. And as it stands, edging into half-time here, Nottingham Forest 1, Brighton and Hove Albion 2.
Couple of minutes before we go to FJ and the team. That's enough time to get us to Barry Swain to give us a half-time report between Burnley and West Ham.
Yeah, goalless between Burnley and West Ham. Burnley has certainly been the better side. Foliosho with a saved effort towards goal from Areola, also saved from Good Johnson. And we saw a flashed header from Adwini just wide after good combination work with a strike partner Rodriguez. Couple of chances either end of the half for Thomas Souček for West Ham. They haven't created an awful lot. Here's one stat for you that might just perk up the Burnley fans listening. West Ham only conceded 4 goals in the first half of matches this season. In the second half, they've conceded 17. Burnley, we're hoping they capitulate in the second half. But at half-time, it's Burnley 0, West Ham United 0.
Johnny Hones between a game between Luton and Crystal Palace, which hasn't delivered quality, but there was a bit of, should we say, choppy waters at the end for both teams, where either side, with a bit of luck, could have seen them going in front. But for now, it remains 0-0.
Yeah, it remains 0-0 for now. It started to get a bit more exciting towards the end of that half. Right at the end of it, Eze drilled a free kick at pace, but it was well saved again by Kaminski, who has definitely been the player of the half so far, which sort of tells you how it's gone for Luton and indeed for Crystal Palace, who have been, I wouldn't say peppering the goal, but they've been the better side. They've had the more chances and the more shots, but Kaminski saved that free kick. He also made a stunning double save from Eze and Edouard. So he's had a good performance. The rest of the Luton players, not so. It is still 0-0 though, so they could still get something out of this one, Luton.
We'll get our other half-time reports when we're back, but for now, we do have to go to FJ and the team. But before we do, I'll quickly just give you the roundup of the scores in the Premier League. Then it's Burnley 0, West Ham 0, Luton 0, Crystal Palace 0, Newcastle 1, Chelsea 1, Nottingham Forest 1, Brighton 2, and Sheffield United 0, Bournemouth 2. And in the Bundesliga as well, currently it has just gone past half-time in those games. It's Werder Bremen 0, Leverkusen 2, Borussia Dortmund 2, Borussia Mönchengladbach 3, Freiburg 1, Darmstadt 1, Union Berlin 0, Wolfsburg 1, and Wolfsburg 1, RB Leipzig 1. And in the Liga as well, it's currently Valencia drawing 0-0 with Celta Vigo, and Rayo Vallecano drew 1-1 with Barcelona earlier. And also in Syria, Salernitana are beating Lazio 2-1. For now, let's go to FJ and the team.
Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Josh Bailey.
We are back for the last hour of the show. And you know what? I think I'm going to treat you to a goal because it's Burnley who have taken the lead.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Barry Swain, Burnley have got what they deserve of that first half performance, and they found the back of the net finally at Turf Moor.
They have, Josh, and it's a fabulous run that's led to a penalty. Luca Koleosho, he's been looking lively down that left-hand side for Burnley in the first half. Well, he set off on a run, and it's a weavy run, jinxing in and out into the penalty area. He looks really promising. He's got pace, he's got skill, really entertaining and easy on the eye. By the way, he's an Italian under-21. His Nigerian father means that he could still play for Nigeria. There's one for you, maybe, just maybe. He could also play for the USA and Italy as well. So he's got plenty to choose from. But what a run. And he's ended up being tripped up needlessly inside the penalty area by the Ghanaian international, Mohamed Kudus. Straight away, the debutant referee in the Premier League, Sam Barrett, pointed to the spot. And after a delay, after VAR had a look, after West Ham had a challenge and a moan and a groan, the penalty spot was vacated with the ball, and there was Jay Rodriguez. All 34 years of experience just to send a goalkeeper, Areola, the wrong way. It's a massive, massive goal for Burnley. Remember, they're bottom of the Premier League going into this weekend's round of fixtures. But now David Moyes has some head scratching to do. West Ham are behind, Burnley are ahead, and deservedly so. It's Burnley 1, West Ham United 0.
We said they may need a helping hand, and that's exactly what they got from the penalty spot from 12 yards out. They've been able to find their first goal of the game, Burnley. For West Ham, though, really puts them in a difficult position. They're in a bit of a free fall in the Premier League. Still 8th right now, but some really poor form over the last 5 games. And defeat to Burnley would really condemn this form even further. Only 1 win in their last 5. And another defeat against Burnley here is not for comfortable reading at all. We go to Chelsea now, to Matthew Key, because it is Burnley, because it is Newcastle, who were paid back by Chelsea in that second half, and Lascelles received the yellow card straight away, and we also had a Reece James miss free.
Yeah, I'm still scratching my head here, Josh. Jamal Lascelles is Sterling's run going through. He's trying to slide Nicholas Jackson through. Lascelles puts his arm across, brings Jackson down, gets the yellow card. It's in the exact same position where Sterling has so brilliantly scored a free kick in the first half. You're thinking it's got his name on it, but instead Reece James decides to step up. It's high, wide, and not very handsome, as the old saying goes. I can't believe Raheem Sterling wasn't allowed to take it. Bizarre one, but a good start to this second half, as you'd expect. 50 minutes gone, Newcastle 1, Chelsea 1.
Bournemouth are an absolute dreamland in South Yorkshire because they've got their third.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
It was a mistake at the end of the second half by the Sheffield United goalkeeper, which gave the Cherries their second, and they've come out in this second half fighting and in search to kill that game off, and that's exactly what they have done. You've got to feel like Paul Bottom Side are out of this game. What is a huge 6-pointer at the end of this, at the bottom of the Premier League. Well, Bournemouth are going to be coming away with those huge 6 points. It's only 3 points, of course, but it's going to feel like 6. That moves them up. That will move them up to 12 points right now, with 3 wins and 5 points between them and 18th place Burnley currently. If Burnley do fail to win, it will be about 7 points to Sheffield United. So it's absolutely incredible for Bournemouth right now. And after a bit of a difficult start to the season for the team and for the team, they've turned things around. And things are looking a little bit brighter. Huge blow for Crystal Palace in the game against Luton because Eze has just had to come off.
Yeah, it's a massive blow, this, for Crystal Palace, but it could get worse again. I'm just having a look at the monitor here because we've got another man down for Crystal Palace who may need to make a second substitution, but I'll discuss the first one originally. Jordan Ayew has had to come on for Eze, who's a bit of a bright spark for the away side here today, and he's been dangerous, and he's got to come off straight away in this second half, which has got Roy Hodgson looking very concerned. He's also looking very concerned because he's got a second man down on the deck at the moment. Can't quite see who it is, but Will Hughes is looking like he's going to be warming up. If you come back to me at some point, Josh, I'll tell you who is down for Crystal Palace. Camera hasn't panned back to him just yet, but it could be a double injury blow for the away side here. Still 0-0, 52 minutes played.
Not exactly what Crystal Palace need, especially with their way the form is going. Let's go to Tom now. Tell us about that Bournemouth goal, which should be sending the 3 points back to the South Coast.
Yeah, you'd have to say that's probably game, set and match now. Just no luck for Sheffield United at all. They made a couple of changes at half-time, started the second half on the front foot, and then it was a crossfield ball which has actually struck Bobby Madley, the referee, and there's a little bit of confusion where he puts the ball down, expecting, I think the Sheffield United players, because they were in possession, expecting that the ball's going to be kicked back to them. They stand off it, Bournemouth take the ball. They eventually work it up the pitch with their first attack of the half. It comes to the right-hand side. The ball is played, it's crossed into the box. Everyone misses it, and it's that man, Marcus Tavernier, again, who goes in at the far post and kicks the ball into the ground, high into the net, past Wes Foderingham. That's it looks, as I say, looks to be game, set and match now. Sheffield heads. I think they're down now, and you can feel it in the ground that there's not much hope that they're going to get back into this game. 51 minutes on the clock. It's Sheffield 0, Bournemouth 3.
West Ham have won their past 7 of their last top 5 fixtures against promoted sides, but against Burnley today, they're trailing Barry Swain. Are they any closer to getting that equaliser?
Actually, it's done them a world of good. It's given them a shot in the arm, because since the goal, it's been all West Ham. We've seen a shot just a few moments ago from Paquetá, tried to open up his body and curl one from 25 yards through a crowd, but it didn't have enough bend on it at all. It's ended up going a couple of yards wide, and it's no real problem for the Burnley goalkeeper, James Trafford. There was no problem for James Trafford from the chance for West Ham a couple of minutes ago. Again, it's Thomas Souček. 3 shots they had before that one just now from Paquetá, and Thomas Souček's had all 3 of them. He tried to get the shot in. It was a really good block from the Irish defender, Dara O'Shea. Got his body on the line to make the block and clear his lines for Burnley. It's all hands to the pump at the moment now for Burnley, and it remains Burnley 1, West Ham United 0.
Newcastle, they're yet to lose a Saturday Premier League game at 3 p.m. under Eddie Howe, winning 12 and drawing 6. With Chelsea, the last side to beat the Magpies at this time in October 2021. You would have forgiven fans and Newcastle fans if they thought their team could have fallen victim to Chelsea once again after Raheem Sterling got the equaliser, Matthew Key. But in the second half, Newcastle, they seem like a new side, and they're trying to breach that Chelsea defence.
Well, the first half was excellent. This one started off very well as well, but it's frantic, to be honest with you, Josh. Newcastle went closest first, and corners have been a real avenue for success in them this game. They had Joe Linton chance in the first half, and Robert Sanchez doesn't look comfortable at all. He can't get off his line. Newcastle had a corner again. Sanchez was appealing for a foul. I mean, there's no contact really anywhere near him. It's just players around him, and he couldn't go anywhere. Fell over, and if a Newcastle player was there, it would be 2-1. We've just had a penalty shout for Chelsea at the other end, and Raheem Sterling jinking his way through the defence, and just he's about to pull the trigger, thinks he's caught by Cher, and then Joe Linton nicks it off him. No penalty given. I tell you what, Josh, it was one of those where could have quite easily been given, and if it had been, I'm not sure it would have been overturned, because Cher certainly looked like he made contact with the standing foot of Raheem Sterling, but no penalty given. But again, a brilliant start to this second half, and it's, as I say, a bit frantic at the moment. Could well be another goal very soon. 55 minutes gone. Still Newcastle 1, Chelsea 1.
It's Robert Sanchez's 100 Premier League appearance today, Matthew, and I'd say within those 100 Premier League appearances, despite his move to Chelsea, he hasn't really established himself as one of the most reliable keepers in the Premier League. There always seems to be an issue, especially this season.
Yeah, well, I think it's important to remember that he'd lost his job at Brighton. Jason Steele had come in, done really well, and Sanchez, he just does the job most time. He's not really doesn't have a howler as such, but he's got weaknesses, that's for sure. We saw it a couple of weeks ago in the Arsenal game, in the Man City game, and I say from the corners today, he's looked really unsettled, and his defence have had to get him out a number of times out of danger. And you have to say, you're looking ahead to the January transfer window, Aaron Ramsdale, a very, very capable goalkeeper. He could be, I think he'll be very high on Chelsea's wish list. And I think Ramsdale, I don't think you'd blame him at all for wanting that move.
Let's go to Sanchez's old club then, Brighton, who are visiting the City ground against Nottingham Forest today. They fell behind early on to an Anthony Elanga opener, but they turned it around just before half-time, making it 2-1. How's it looking so thanks to Pedro and Evan Ferguson? Duca, how's it going so far in the first 8 minutes?
It's a very cagey affair, if I'm honest with you. Nottingham Forest probably having the better spell at the minute. They had a half chance through Danilo, a corner whipped in at the back post, but he couldn't really get anything on it and just trickles out for a goal kick. But other than that, nothing really to shout home about at the start of this second half. Brighton still very comfortable defensively, just happy to let Nottingham Forest have the majority of possession at the minute and just kind of sit back and soak up the pressure and maybe hit them on the counter. But as it stands at the City ground, it is Nottingham Forest 1, Brighton 2.
We heard from Johnny Holmes earlier about an injury to Eze and then a potential injury to Decore. He was down on the floor. He has now been stretchered off, hasn't he, Johnny Holmes? This is incredibly concerning for Roy Hodgson's men, and it seems like Luton, through those injuries, have picked a bit of gale in their towel and sent a little bit of blood in the water because they've just had a chance.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head there, Josh. It's a real blow for Crystal Palace. In the space of 2 minutes, 2 huge injuries for them. I mean, first of all, to lose Eze, who's a bright spark going forward, and then Decore, who's a real anchor point in the midfield. He's had to be stretchered off for Hughes, and it's one of those we discussed earlier on the show about how those off-the-ball injuries are the more worrying ones, because you don't often see a player go down for no reason then. And he went down, he just released a pass, and he went down holding his ankle. He has been stretchered off. And since then, as you say, Luton, out of nowhere, have come back into it. A Doughty cross was just a little bit too high for Ogbene, who's reached up high with his head, but it just clips it off of his forehead and goes behind him. And then a hazy, mazy run from the number 7, Ogbene, ended up in a corner as his cross was deflected behind. Suddenly, Luton are on top now, and Palace have got injuries and, of course, this game to worry about as well. Luton 0, Crystal Palace 0, 59 minutes played.
Duga Dogma said how there was not really much to report between that Nottingham Forest and Brighton game. Well, there's just been a penalty, and it is to Brighton. This could be a catastrophic collapse for Nottingham Forest if they were to concede from the penalty spot to make it 3 goals to Brighton. So therefore, Nottingham Forest 1, Brighton 2. And talk of catastrophic, Chelsea have just conceded.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Catastrophic for Chelsea, jubilation for Newcastle as the Tyneside Kids have taken the lead. It's Newcastle 2, Chelsea 1. They restore their lead they had earlier on in the game. And for Chelsea, for Mauricio Pochettino, Matthew Key, they've got to do it all over again.
Yes, catastrophic for Chelsea. I said that defence split in the first half for Isak. It's split once again, and it's Jamal Lascelles, Newcastle's club captain, up from the back, and he scored a brilliant header. It was a free kick given away by Sterling, pushing the back. He then kicked the ball away and was booked, and Chelsea just never got into position. They were expecting the ball to be whipped in by Trippier. Instead, it was played short. They switched it all the way across to Anthony Gordon on the left-hand side, and he took on Reece James, and he didn't quite beat his man, but he got enough space to whip a ball in. What a ball it was. Perfectly weighted, perfectly found Jamal Lascelles. He was free in the 6-yard box, and he headed it back across Sanchez, who had no chance. Newcastle restore their lead, and they've probably deserved it on the balance of play in this second half. Chelsea got to come from behind again. It's Newcastle 2, Chelsea 1 on the hour mark.
Brighton have made it 3.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
It's now Nottingham Forest 1, Brighton 3, and that scoreline is the exact same as Sir James's Park.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
blink and you miss it because Newcastle have made it 3-1 now. 2 goals in quick succession, Matthew Key.
Oh, absolutely extraordinary scenes here, Josh. Chelsea have completely lost their heads. It's straight away from kick-off. They've given the ball away. Newcastle have capitalised, and Joe Linton has gone through and just hammered it in. It's a huge mistake at the back. I think it's Thiago Silva, of all people, normally so reliable, but Cole Palmer plays it back to him. His touch is dodgy. He then tries to back pass it to Sanchez. It's all wrong. It's nowhere near his goalkeeper, and Joe Linton just runs onto it. Thank you very much. Waits for Sanchez to dive, puts the ball the other way, and in the blink of an eye, Newcastle have opened this game up. They've got a 2-goal lead, and could that be curtains for Chelsea? Absolutely extraordinary for Chelsea to see one of their best players make a mistake like that. And St James's Park is bouncing. Newcastle 3, Chelsea 1.
Mauricio Pochettino's men have fallen to their knees after dragging themselves back into the game earlier on in that first half. It's 2 blows to them early in the second half, which have seen them collapse onto the canvas as James's Park. Newcastle 3, Chelsea 1. That's a long way back from Mauricio Pochettino's men. Can they do it? They've certainly got the substitutes on the bench to be able to do so. Let's go to Duka Dobma now. Tell us about that Brighton goal, which has put them 3-1 up as well.
Yeah, a very well dispatched penalty from João Pedro sent the goalkeeper the wrong way, but it was a ball that came into the box, and Chris Wood was manhandling. João Pedro brought him down, and the penalty was given and dispatched brilliantly by João Pedro. Obviously, I spoke about Chris Wood earlier, how I thought, he's done okay in absence of Taiwo Awoniyi, but this is it's not the display that he was wanting. Obviously, he's not known for his defensive attributes, but that's certainly not helped this team by giving away a silly penalty like that. But as it stands at the City Ground, Nottingham Forest 1, Brighton Hove Albion 3.
Let's take a breath for a minute and update you with the scores around the grounds. Burnley are beating West Ham 1-0. Luton and Crystal Palace are currently 0-0. Newcastle and Chelsea, Newcastle are winning 3-1 there. Nottingham Forest are losing 3-1 to Brighton, and Sheffield United losing 3-0 to Bournemouth. Let's go to some of the grounds that we haven't heard for in a minute. Let's go to West Ham right now, because Burnley, they've had a couple of chances to make it 2-0, and West Ham have made a change to try and make it 1-1.
Yes, following the penalty dispatched confidently by Jay Rodriguez, West Ham had a couple of chances, which I told you about last time you were here. Since then, a couple of chances for Burnley. A header from Dara O'Shea over the top of the crossbar. Really good run forward from Zeki Amdouini. He's a really hard-working striker down the right-hand side, burst in the penalty area. Very nearly beat Areola at near post. Good save by the French international goalkeeper. We've just seen Danny Ings taken off. He's had a fruitless afternoon against his old club. And on comes the 19-year-old Divin Mbuma, who joined West Ham at the age of 8. He's played a couple of times in the first team, but this is his Premier League debut. He goes straight up top, and we've just seen a yellow card for Vladimir Kufal for West Ham as well. They've created very little throughout this game, West Ham. They've not looked great this afternoon. Well, I'll tell you what, there's a man on the touchline. His name is Vincent Kompany, and he might as well put a claret and blue shirt on and be running around there, because he's kicking every single ball. But it's still Burnley 0. It's Burnley 1. West Ham United 0.
A Palace goal to tell you about as they have taken the lead against Luton.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
A goal that will completely change the NairaBet odds, which we're going to go to right now with John Kane.
The latest in-play betting odds from NairaBet.
Yes, the latest odds from NairaBet. Of course, all these prices are subject to change. I do love it when Josh sent me just straight after the goal, because I can tell you the Luton Palace is suspended due to that goal. So I can't give you any update on that. Newcastle Chelsea, as you've heard, Newcastle are leading at home by 3-1. Newcastle are 1.08 for the win, 11 for the draw, and for Chelsea, an away win. And turn it around is 41.0. I will go into details in a minute. Forest are losing at home to Brighton by 3-0 at the County Ground. Forest are 67.1 to turn it around, 17.0 for the draw, and for Brighton to win it is literally next to nothing, is 1.04. Sheffield United likewise, they're losing at home by 3-0 to Bournemouth. Sheffield United, 101.0, which is probably justified to turn it around. 29.0 for the draw, and it's nothing for Bournemouth as we speak. Burnley, West Ham, that's probably the closest one we can get at the moment. In fact, I can tell you that the Palace goal has been disallowed, so I can give you the odds on that now. It's still 0-0. It's not a goal for Palace. We'll go back and see what's happening in a minute. But Luton now at 5.50 for the win, 1.80 for the draw, and Palace to win this, who've just scored and had it disallowed, is 3.30. I'll go back to Burnley, West Ham, 20 minutes to go. Burnley 1, West Ham 0. Burnley at 1.40 for the win. The draw is 4.0, and West Ham at 13.0. Now, just to make this interesting for Chelsea fans, because I'm sure there's Chelsea fans around, I can see Modric is about to come on as well for them. So if we're looking for goals, if you think it's going to be over 5.5 goals, so you need about 2 more goals or more, it's 3.30. If you think it's over 7.5 goals in the game, it's 17.0. So these are interesting stats. If you see Newcastle, just going to give you odd ones out. For Newcastle to win 5-3, it's 101.0. If you think Chelsea going to turn around completely with the exact score of 4-3, they are 51.0. The draw at 3-all is 13.0. So if you're a Chelsea fan and you're looking for odds like that, then that could be one of the things to look at. Raheem Sterling, he is 9.0 to score the next goal. Alexander Isaac, if you're a Newcastle fan, is 8.50 to score the next goal. And Cole Palmer, who's been really good lately, hasn't he? He's 10.0. Of course, all these prices are from NairaBet website, and they're all subject to change.
It was Edouard that had the goal in the back of the net at Luton, but they've given a little bit of lady luck, haven't they, Johnny Holmes? Because the VAR has intervened and drew the scores back to 0-0.
Yeah, excitement, entertainment and despair for Crystal Palace in the space of a couple of minutes. That goal by Edouard has indeed been disallowed, and it's for handball. It's a long ball by Elise, a brilliant ball from deep within his own half. Finds Edouard through on goal. He chests it down, in inverted commas. It certainly looked that way. He strikes straight at Kaminski, gets a bit of luck, comes straight back to him, and he sticks it away. But hold on, everybody. VAR is out and about, and the goal has been disallowed because as he chested that ball down, contact is made, ball onto arm, which is used to steer the ball into his stride. The decision has been made, no goal. Luton 0, Crystal Palace 0 it remains after 70 minutes.
Johnny, for Luton, what is that going to do for them right now? Because they've had 2 of the players, Crystal Palace players, injured. They've now got this VAR decision go against them. We saw in the Manchester City game what a VAR decision can do for the team who, for the team who on the opposite side of the field. For Luton, this really has got to give them some encouragement.
They're going to need it. As the injured players went down for Crystal Palace and were duly substituted, that's when Luton had their best spell of the game. And that was until this moment when Crystal Palace were struggling at their most. Can Luton use this latest bit of misfortune for Palace as a springboard? They've got to try and do it, and they're coming forward at the moment. Still 0-0.
Few changes in the Chelsea-Newcastle game as Rich Pochettino's team look to try and get themselves back into this game somehow, but they're going to need a miracle, really, aren't they, Matthew Key?
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Well, that goal klaxon can only mean one thing. It's not a goal in the Newcastle game, but it is a goal for Luton because they have now taken the lead against Crystal Palace. I just asked Johnny Holmes the question, what could that VAR decision mean for Luton? What could it inspire them to do? Well, I'll tell you what it has inspired them to do. It's inspired them to find a goal. Mengi with the goal, making it 1-0 to the Hatters. And that could be huge for their Premier League campaign. So much going on at the bottom of the Premier League table right now. Burnley winning, Luton winning, Sheffield United losing, and Bournemouth winning. We're going to see 3 of the Premier League's bottom 5 pick up 3 points today. And these are days where scenes can change drastically, Johnny Holmes.
Oh, can you believe that? Crystal Palace have the ball in the back of the net, disallowed for handball by VAR, and Luton go down the other end. It's from a corner, it's a flick on, and it finds its way to Mengi, the number 15, and he prods it into the back of the net. And these Luton fans here at Kenilworth Road, they can hardly believe what they've seen. They're jubilant, they're jumping for joy. Their side's ahead when 5 minutes ago they were behind. It's Mengi, it's Luton, it's 1-0 to them, 72 minutes played.
Mengi, what a brilliant goal for him. What a crucial goal for his team. That could be their second win in the Premier League after their win at Everton a few weeks ago at Goodison Park. Let's go. We've got Soweto. Let's go to Bramall Lane right now. We haven't heard from Tom in a while, mainly because Bournemouth are well on their way to victory. 3-0 up there. I'm assuming nothing has really changed, Tom.
Nothing's changed in terms of the scoreline, but there's been a lot happening. Sheffield United had a great chance to get back in the game. It was Ollie McBurney after Sam Baldock had got away down the right-hand side. It was pulled back, and McBurney from about 10 yards out, he just couldn't get hold of it. But every time Sheffield go forward, Bournemouth on the counter-attack, they look so dangerous. And Marcus Tavernier has been the best player on the pitch. He forced Foderingham into a save down low to his left, where he could have got his hat-trick, and then almost provided a chance for Ryan Christie to score, which also resulted in a good save down low. And just as you come to me, we are having a VAR check for a possible red card. There's a bit of a scuffle. I'm not quite sure what about, and it was one of them where everyone's come over. The referee's in the middle of it. A yellow was given to Sam Baldock. I think they are checking for a possible red card for Philip Billing, who was booked, and VAR is taking a look. Come back to me when this has been sorted out.
Well, there's so much to go on right now. Well, we do have a red card at Chelsea. That is a red card there at Chelsea 2. So it's now Newcastle 3, Chelsea 1, and it's a red card. We will get to it shortly. But we're going to go to Crystal. We're not going to Crystal Palace, but we have got to go. It's Luton 1, Crystal Palace 1.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
There we go, Luton. Mengi just put them back in front. Luton, but Crystal Palace have hit back immediately and have just calmed things down briefly for them. Luton 1, Crystal Palace 1. For Chelsea, with a Sterling goal briefly sewed things back together after Alexander Isaac had put Newcastle in front, but things have fallen apart at the seam as Reece James has just seen a red card.
Yeah, that's right, Josh. A torrid 15 minutes for Chelsea. It's undone so much of their good work in the first half of this game, but also the last couple of weeks. And it's Reece James, the captain, that's been sent off. He was booked for a push in the first half, stopping an attack. He's been booked for a pull this time. Anthony Gordon, he was just dilly-dallying on the ball. Anthony Gordon swept in, took the ball off him. Reece James decided the best thing he could do was bring him down. Second yellow card equals red. And that is the end of Chelsea's hopes, you'd have to say, in this one. It was looking unlikely as it is, but their captain now sent off. He spends so much time injured, he really doesn't need to be missing any more games, but he's going to miss another one after this. And Chelsea have responded. Cole Palmer off. It's Levi Colwill at the back. That looks like that's Chelsea saying, we've accepted defeat in this one, and just to keep it to the 2 goals that it is at the moment. Well, it looks like it's going to kill what could have been a really entertaining last 15 minutes, but Newcastle, I'm sure, will be looking to pile on the misery and to make these 3 points guaranteed. Huge advantage for them now. It's Newcastle 3, Chelsea 1.
Chelsea combustion at St James's Park. It's miserable seats if you're a Chelsea fan. For Palace, though, they have pried themselves back into the game, Johnny Holmes, because they made it 1-0.
They've made it 1-1, and it's an absolute stunner, Josh. It's Elise who picks the ball up in his own half. Can you believe this game? Luton had just gone in front. Elise receives the ball. It looks like there's nothing doing. There's defenders all around him, but he beats 1, he beats 2. He's on the right-hand side. He cuts in, and he smashes a shot. Top right corner. Kaminsky could do nothing about it. It's a stunning finish by Elise. Palace right back in this game. Luton 1, Palace 1, 76 minutes played.
So much is going on in the Premier League right now. Goals left, right and centre. Red cards left, right and centre, because Brighton, who were comfortably on their way to a victory against Nottingham Forest, their first win in 6 games. Well, it's a red card for Dunk and a penalty to Forest, which could give Steve Cooper's men a way back into this game. We're with Duke Adomba right now, but for right now, you are listening to Football Live.
You are listening.
You are listening.
You are listening
to Football Live.
To Football Live.
To Football Live.
On Brila FM.
More big match action coming your way tomorrow on Football Live. 2 teams with their eyes on a top 4 finish come face to face as Tottenham Hotspur take on Aston Villa. Then Everton, in their first match since that 10-point deduction, take on Manchester United. In Spain, Real Sociedad are up against Sevilla. In Germany, our featured match is Hoffenheim against Mainz. And in Italy, Udinese go to Jose Mourinho's Roma. 4.5 hours of action-packed live football coverage from 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Join Chris Baldwin and his reporters for a massive afternoon of top-of-the-table football coverage, exclusive, of course, to Brila FM.
Place 10 bets, get 1 free. You can earn an unlimited number of free bets with NairaBet. No matter which game you're watching right now, feel the thrill with our live match special. For every 10 in-play bets placed, you will receive a 5,000 Naira free bet. Log in to www.nairabet.com. Click on the Live tab. Place 10 in-play bets on different games. Then the free bet is yours. Full details can be found on our promotions page. Must be over 18. Minimum stake of 5,000 Naira per live bet. Minimum odds of 1.2 per live bet. General and free bet terms and conditions apply. Please gamble responsibly.
Okay guys, welcome to the weekly Football Live production meeting. I've got a great idea. We go out and we ask all the top football managers what they think of the show. Let's do this.
Jurgen Klopp, are you a fan of Football Live?
It's super. It's just super. It's really a top.
Mikel Arteta, how good is Football Live?
I've been really impressed.
Pep, Football Live love you, but do you love Football Live?
They are unique and I enjoy a lot.
Sean Dyche, do you listen to Football Live, the greatest football show on earth?
What you're talking about now. They know and I know, and you probably do know, they've made a lot of mistakes along the way.
Okay, so we need to work on Sean Dyche.
You are listening to Football Live. Live and exclusive on Brila FM.
Take Brila anywhere, everywhere.
Yes, you can take Brila with you anywhere, everywhere.
The Brila app is available for free download. Available for download on Google Play and the Apple iTunes Store.
Football Live. Football's never sounded so good on Brila FM every Saturday and Sunday.
We are here to bring you the goals.
You are listening
to Football Live.
It's absolutely unbelievable.
On Brila FM.
You couldn't miss it if you tried.
Let's get back to the action on Football Live. Powered by NairaBet. This is Football Live with Josh Bailey.
Gibbs White from the spot makes it 3-2.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
Away back in for Nottingham Forest, but will they capitalise? Time will tell. 13 minutes good to go there for Nottingham Forest. It is Nottingham Forest 2, Brighton 3. Let's go to Duke Adomba to tell us about the goal from the penalty spot.
I mean, there is a whole lot that has happened here. It's a brilliant penalty from Morgan Gibbs-White. Sent the goalkeeper the wrong way, similar to João Pedro's penalty, if I'm honest. But there was a whole lot that happened before that. So initially, it was a foul by Jack Hinshelwood, the youngster, who brought a player down in the box. It went all the way to VAR and was given as a penalty. And then I think it was Lewis Dunk that got sent off, and he got sent off for dissent to the referee. He first got a yellow, but then just wouldn't stop going at the referee, and then got a second yellow and got himself sent off. And then obviously the penalty's given and Morgan Gibbs-White has dispatched it. But again, this is just let Nottingham Forest get back into the game. And, you know, Brighton's captain now being sent off, obviously not leading by example at all in that situation. And it's a real chance for Nottingham Forest to at least get a point from this game if they can, with Brighton being down to 10 men. But as it stands, the City Ground, with just under 15 minutes to play, it's Nottingham Forest 2, Brighton and Hove Albion 3.
Absolute trouncing in the Saudi Pro League. Al Hilal are beating Al Hazim 7-0. So it's Al Hazim 0, Al Hilal 7. Well, what a moment if you're an Al Hilal fan, but what an embarrassing time it is to be an Al Hazim fan. 7-0 there. Let's go to West Ham, who are still losing 1-0 to Burnley. But since that goal, they've kind of spurred themselves into line, but it's still not enough.
Since you've been with us, Josh, 3 big chances for West Ham. 2 of them off the head of Kurt Zuma. One was over the crossbar. He got a little underneath it. Another flashed header. Really decent save from James Trafford in the Burnley goal. But West Ham's best chance, Kudos down the right. He, of course, gave away the penalty. He's flashed the ball in. And it's come through to Paquetá, who curls it towards the top corner. It is inches, almost touching the outside of the post on its way through. Not the camera over behind the goal. In fact, the TV camera just missed the post by, I am talking, a matter of millimetres. It was so close to a West Ham equaliser. Just now we've seen Josh Brownhill, the captain for Burnley, fire just over the top of the crossbar. They're defending stoutly. They haven't had a clean sheet this season. Maybe today is their day. They've got to hold on for just over 5 more minutes. It's Burnley 1, West Ham United 0.
Luton are back in front against Palace.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
In what has been a neck-jerking 15 minutes, Luton put the ball well in front, 1-0 up. Then Crystal Palace pegged them back, but it is Brown that has seen them get their second and seen them get 3 points back on track. Luton 2, Crystal Palace 1. Goals flying in all over the place because West Ham have equalised.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
The chances have been rewarded and they have an equaliser in Burnley. That's heartbreak for the basement club as they are now back bottom of the Premier League. And also a goal for Newcastle.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
We know how formidable Newcastle are from home, but I don't think anyone suspected that the scoreline would be this come the end of today. Newcastle 4, Crystal Palace 1. So much to get through, so many people to go to. We're going to start with Matthew Key to tell us about that 4th Newcastle goal, which piles more misery on Mauricio Pochettino.
Yeah, misery for Poch and Chelsea. The icing on the cake for Newcastle when Anthony Gordon, his brilliant run continues and he's fully deserved his goal this afternoon. It's just a basic run, to be honest with you. Curves his run past the tired Chelsea defence, times it to perfection, slid in by Almiron, and he runs onto the ball. 3 Chelsea defenders with him, no one in support, goes on his own, dances round Badiashile, finishes with his right foot past Sanchez. Unbelievable goal. Suspect defending from Chelsea. Once again, they've completely fallen apart here, have the Blues. But brilliant for Newcastle, brilliant for Gordon. It's Newcastle 4, Chelsea 1.
To West Ham, who equalised against Burnley to give themselves at least a point in Turf Moor.
And yes, it's the 19-year-old substitute on his Premier League debut, Divin Mbama, a young lad who joined the club as an 8-year-old and he's stuck with it. He's been breaking into the first team. He gets his Premier League chance today, on for Danny Ings, and he's taken his chance brilliantly. It was made in the middle of the midfield, long ball forward by James Ward-Prowse, who's been fairly quiet today, finding down the right-hand side Mohamed Kudos. Kudos weaving his way to the byline, gets the cross in. It's a wicked cross as well, and he got on the aim with the merest of touches. Divin Mbama to hurt the ball from point-blank range over the line past James Trafford in the Burnley goal. Only 5 minutes away from their first clean sheet of the season, Burnley. They are tumbling back to the bottom of the table. Burnley 1, West Ham United 1.
Barry as well, just a little bit of a testing your knowledge here. Can you tell me what foot James Rodriguez is as well? Is he right-footed? Is he left-footed?
Oh, God, now you're asking. He's probably 2-footed, isn't he?
Oh, well, I only asked because 8 of Burnley's last 9 league goals have been scored with left-footed shots. So the other coming from via a right-footed effort. So depending on what foot he was and what foot he scored the penalty with, a little statistic there for you to enjoy. But you don't know, so it's fine. Fine, I've caught you out. Don't worry, Barry. It's okay. It's okay. Anyway, let's go to Crystal Palace because they equalised against Luton. Luton scored against Crystal Palace. There's just so many goals going on. I don't know where my head is at. Tony Holmes, Luton in front.
Luton indeed back in front here at Kenilworth Road. It began with Tahith Chong driving forward. A wonderful mazy run. He feeds Ross Barkley. First touch. Finds his man, out to Ogbene, whose cross is brilliant, it's inch perfect, and Brown is there to prod home. Jacob Brown sliding through on the Kenilworth Road turf. He gets a toe end on it, he diverts it into the back of the net, and the crowd are in raptures. Luton 2, Crystal Palace 1. Only 4 minutes of normal time to go here at Kenilworth Road.
That is not a long time for Luton to hold on. These 3 points will be so crucial for them, especially considering Burnley are now losing as well. Burnley are now drawing as well. So for Luton, I'm just doing my maths, 4 points it would be. So 4-point gap between them and Burnley, which would be absolutely incredible for them. Our little old Luton Town in the Premier League, 4 points clear of safety would just be incredible. Let's see if they can hold on. There's so many games to get round. Who haven't we heard from in a while? We haven't heard from. Let's go to Tom. Sheffield United, Bournemouth. He's probably having a pretty relaxed afternoon. A relaxed second half, really, aren't you, Tom, compared to the chaos which is enveloping between the rest of these Premier League games?
Yeah, Josh, I am now just enjoying what's going on around the other grounds. This game it looks to be petering out now. I think a lot of the fans have left the ground. Just when you came to me last, that was the last action, really. A possible red card for Philip Billing, who put his hand on the neck of Ollie McBurney. VAR deciding that it wasn't quite enough to upgrade his yellow to a red. There was a flurry of yellow cards for both sides, for players and staff alike. We had one chance of note where Sinisterra, with a great run from the right-hand side, went onto his left, chopped onto his right, sold everyone, and dragged the ball wide of the far post. That was a great chance, but since then there's been nothing to speak of, and this game's heading for an easy away win, you'd think. 4 minutes to go. It's Sheffield United 0, Bournemouth 3.
West Ham have
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
West Ham have completed the turnaround against Burnley. It's now 2-1. Thomas Souček with the goal, and somehow West Ham have done it. Burnley have dominated this game from start to finish, but it's a collapse at Turf Moor Vincent Company's side. Barry Swain.
Oh dear, Burnley. They felt that 3 points was there, and I have to be honest, I thought it was. By the way, that first goal, Divin Mbama scoring on his Premier League debut, has been given as an own goal from Dara O'Shea. Listen, the first goal came from the midfield, James Ward-Prowse, delivering it down the right-hand side to Mohamed Kudus. Exactly the same build-up for the second goal. Kudus gets a cross in, this time it's a lofted cross to the far post, and there was Thomas Souček. Said it in the first half, he looks the most likely player to hit the back of the net for West Ham this afternoon. He's gone and got his fourth Premier League goal, 6 in all competitions this season. Powerful header past James Trafford. It's now Burnley 1, West Ham United 2. 7 minutes of stoppage time. We're a couple of minutes into it, and it looks like West Ham are going to grab all 3 points.
You don't know who really this result better suits, to be greatly honest. Who is it more important for? Because Burnley, they of course needed those 3 points to guide them off the bottom of the Premier League table, and now they're going to be very much adrift. They're going to be a miserable 6 points, I think, off of those 5 points off of Luton Town, who are currently 17th. For West Ham, though, in terms of them, there would have been only 1 win in their last 5, concerning form. So going to be 2 wins back-to-back for them, though. So who's this bigger for? Let us, FJ and the team, know when we do go to them after this show. But that is not going to be for another 20 minutes, because we've got so much more to go round to. West Ham leading at Burnley. Let's give you an update of the scores. It's Burnley 1, West Ham 2, Luton 2, Crystal Palace 1, Newcastle 4, Chelsea 1, Nottingham Forest 2, Brighton 3, and Sheffield United 0, Bournemouth 3 as well. We haven't been to the City Ground in a while since Morgan Gibbs White half the deficit and gave Nottingham Forest a little bit of hope. Duke Domba, what is it right now? What is the game saying?
Well, I'll tell you what, Brighton have probably been on top ever since the goal and the red card. And there's Jan-Paul van Hecke, who just had a very, very good chance. The ball gets whipped in from the corner, and he has a free header. All he has to do is head it either side of the goalkeeper. Instead, he heads it straight into the goalkeeper's arms. About 5 minutes plus added time left here at the City Ground. It is Nottingham Forest 2, Brighton 3.
Injury time, all the boards are going up right now, so let's try and give you an update. 7 minutes added on time at Burnley. We have 12 minutes added on time at Luton. That is a painful amount of time for Luton to try and hold on. They're going to have to dig deep. 7 minutes at Sheffield United, but they've got 7 minutes to find 3 goals, have the blade, so I don't think they're going to do that. And 5 minutes added on at Newcastle, which probably suits Chelsea right now, doesn't it? Matthew Key, who just want to get on the bus back home to London.
Yeah, I don't think you could sum up any better, to be honest, Josh. Newcastle just toying with Chelsea now, knocking the ball round. They brought all the subs on. Everyone can enjoy what's a brilliant afternoon for them. We all remember them taking apart Tottenham last year in the first 20 minutes. It's been similar today, except in the last 20. Chelsea completely lost their heads since those 2 goals in what was less than a minute, 22 seconds. In fact, the difference between those 2 goals, and since then, let's say Chelsea completely lost their heads. The red card of Thiago Silva and Anthony Gordon putting the icing on the cake, as we see Mudryk and Matt Ritchie just having a little bit of words exchange. The Newcastle player booked. Brilliant afternoon for Newcastle. They've got 4 minutes left to enjoy it, and 4 minutes more of pain for Chelsea to endure. Newcastle 4, Chelsea 1.
It's Al Hazim 0, Al Hilal 9. Could that be a record, John Kane, for the largest score in the Saudi Pro League? That's got to be one for you to find out. No, it's not. No, okay, he's told me straight away through my ear it's not a record. I wonder who that record is for. I think he's going to tell me. I think he's going to let me know. He's so good at this, isn't he, John Kane? He's so on it. He's so to the pulse. He knows all his stuff. A great guy to have alongside you when you're presenting a show. Here we go, 10-3, Al Ittihad against Al Reed. But surely, is this the largest margin of a goal, though, John Kane? That's only 7. This is 9. So is this the largest margin? Let's see if he knows that. Anyway, thank you very much. Let's go, Johnny Holmes. All Palace right now. They need that goal. Or otherwise, Luton, they're going to be getting the 3 points. They're going to be 5 points clear in 17th place.
Oh, it's going to be so nervy here. These last about 10 minutes to go. 9 now. We're just deeping into the 93rd minute here of 12 added on to play for those 2 Crystal Palace injuries, of course, to Eze and Doucouré, who had to be brought off. And it's all Palace. They're throwing the kitchen sink at it, and there's nail-biting stuff here at Kenilworth Road. The fans, they've got their head in their hands. Some can't bear to watch as balls are being whipped into the box left, right and centre. Can Crystal Palace find that equaliser? They're really pushing for it. Luton 2, Palace 1. 94 minutes played now. Still a while to go.
It's got to be so hard for them, hasn't it, really, Johnny? Without Eze on the pitch, without Doucouré on the pitch, they've really got to find some hope from somewhere.
They do, and we spoke before the game about that pace and power they've got going forward, that quartet, Edouard, Eze, Elise and Schlupp. Well, 3 of those have come off. It's only Elise who remains. He's the one who got a goal today. What a stunner it was, driving through the defence and blasting a 20-yard shot into the back of the net, top corner, in fact. He's been a standout player, doesn't deserve to be on the losing side. Will he be on the losing side? Because Palace have got a free kick in a very dangerous area here. Oh, what's going to happen on this one? Luton 2, Crystal Palace 1. 95 minutes played.
To Burnley, Barry Swain, 97 minutes gone. We've played the 7 minutes injury time. Could we get an equaliser for the Clarets?
Well, Josh, if they're going to get an equaliser, they're going to need to hurry up and get on with it, because we've played the 7 minutes and they've huffed and they've puffed Burnley, but they've had the wind's absolutely taken out the sails. These 2 late goals, and it looks like West Ham are going to hold out. It's a matter of seconds, not minutes now. Vincent Kompany looks a lost man down on the touchline. Burnley 1, West Ham 2.
It's got the absolute lot. You've got to wonder how long he's got left as their manager after having a win right in their grasp. Doesn't look good when you've just conceded 2 late goals to West Ham to completely drop those 3 points through your fingertips like a hot knife through butter. Burnley 1, West Ham 2, Luton 2, Crystal Palace 1. We just heard from Johnny Holmes. Newcastle, Chelsea 4-1. We've got Nottingham Forest, Brighton. Let's go to Duke Dumba right now. Just tell us about this Nottingham Forest. 92 minutes gone there. We've still got some time for Forest to get an equaliser.
Yeah, and it is all Forest now. They're pressing, they're pushing for that equaliser, but Brighton are holding out defensively and looking really strong at the back. But it just seems like it's only going to be a matter of time before Forest do get that equaliser. They are just relentlessly pressing that Brighton defence, but no real chances yet, any sort of final closing stages to scream home about. As it stands at the City Ground, still Nottingham Forest 2, Brighton and Hove Albion 3.
It's Nottingham Forest 2, aren't they? As I said, Sheffield United 0, Bournemouth 3, but both chances. We've had full time between Burnley and West Ham. West Ham have lost 2-1 there. We've had full time between Nottingham Forest and Chelsea. A terrible day for Chelsea, a terrible day on Tyneside. Sheffield United have a goal back, though.
The goals, powered by NairaBet.
A consolation goal at best. Sheffield United 1, Bournemouth 3. Let's go to Johnny Holmes, Crystal Palace. Can they get away back into it? Are Luton going to have their second win of this Premier League season?
Oh, they're holding on so far. Applause has just gone round Kenilworth Road as Kaminski falls onto the ball dramatically. We've seen it before with goalkeepers. Time running out and they just collapse onto the ball and they'll just buy a few more seconds, and every second counts for Luton. This could be a massive 3 points for them, moving them away from the relegation zone. What a fantastic result it would be, but still Palace look to come forward. Kaminski's kick isn't great. They're going to invite more pressure. It's 2-1 and there's still 6 minutes of this added time to go.
Oh, this is absolutely incredible. This is the new Premier League, isn't it? With these new added on times. It's Luton 2, Crystal Palace 1, Nottingham Forest 2, Brighton 3. 94 minutes gone there, Duca. Can Forest get away back into it? Are Brighton going to get those 3 points?
As it stands, it's still Brighton who are just holding out here, but Nottingham Forest really are pressing. They've got a free kick in a dangerous position here. Harry Toffolo standing over it, who does know how to get a ball into the box. But as it stands, with about 5 minutes left to play, just over, Nottingham Forest still find themselves behind, but they are definitely pushing for that equaliser.
Brighton digging deep with their 10 men to get that 3 points. A desperate 3 points needed. It's Sheffield United 1, Bournemouth 3. That is full time there. We'll go to Tom with the full-time report where he can include the goal in that. We'll go with him shortly. For now, though, let's go to Barry Swain to tell us about the full-time report between Burnley and West Ham. We saw West Ham complete a late turnaround against all the odds.
Oh, yes, indeed, Josh. And Burnley must be absolutely gutted. In the 85th minute, they were leading by a goal to nil. They looked like they were going to take through all 3 points, which would lift them off the, well, they were at the bottom of the table. Going into this, they were at bottom, and it looked like it was going to lift them out of the bottom placing, and they were looking good for it. Jay Rodriguez blasted them ahead with, I can confirm, a right-footed penalty to give them the lead early in the second half. It was no more than they deserved, really. They were the better side up until that point, including a goalless first half. Really good run from Luca Koleosho, who could still play for Nigeria or Italy or USA. The young 19-year-old, it's a real handful down the line, down the left wing for Burnley. But West Ham, who weren't great all afternoon, suddenly sprung into action late on. 4 minutes from time, James Ward-Prowse fed Mohamed Kudus, who gave away the penalty to give Burnley the lead. He whipped across in, and there was the youngster Divin Mubama on his Premier League debut to get a touch. The last touch did come off of Dara O'Shea, and then a minute into stoppage time, Thomas Souček was on the end of another Mohamed Kudus cross. He was involved in all 3 goals this afternoon. Kudus with a cross, Souček with a powerful header past James Trafford to give us a final score of Burnley 1, West Ham United 2.
We're into 100 minutes at Kenilworth Road, where Luton still hold a slender advantage, Johnny.
It's a massive, massive chance for Elise for Crystal Palace, and they really should be level. It's whipped in from the left-hand side, and it really should be there for Elise, who gets his head on it. He's free at the back post, and he nods it just over. I saw the net ripple. I thought it was a goal, but it's just landed on top of it, and Crystal Palace is still behind, and they've still got 2 minutes to get back level in this game. Luton 2, Palace 1. They're really pushing for it now, Palace.
Crystal Palace can't get level. Can Nottingham Forest get level, Duca?
At the minute, no, they can't. But it is all Nottingham Forest, like I've said on the past few times you've come to me now, because they are relentlessly pressing Brighton here. They haven't really had a real chance, though, which is the frustrating thing for Nottingham Forest at the minute. They've got the ball in and around the good areas, but not really being able to hit, pull the trigger or get a shot on goal. But at the minute, as it stands, Nottingham Forest 2, Brighton and Hove Albion 3.
That game's the 97th minute, 101 minutes between Luton and Crystal Palace currently. We will now go to Tom. We'll go to Tom to tell us about the Sheffield United and Bournemouth result, where Sheffield United lost to Bournemouth 3-1 despite a late consolation goal.
Yes, Josh, a late consolation goal, and it was nothing more in the end. Finished full time here at Bramall Lane. Sheffield United 1, Bournemouth 3. It was a confident start from the away side in the first half. They scored with their first chance after 12 minutes, and they never really looked back. It was Marcus Tavernier with a nice finish inside the box that set them on their way, and they grabbed a second in first half stoppage time. A howler from Wes Foderingham, allowing Justin Kluivert to fire into an empty net. And within 5 minutes of the restart, it was 3-0 Marcus Tavernier, the best player on the pitch today, ghosting in at the far post to get his third from an Adam Smith cross. Sheffield kept working, and you have to say fair play to them. It was a golfing class really today. They got a late consolation for their efforts, and I want to cheer for the fans that decided to stay. But a worrying performance, you'd have to say, against a side that is in there around at the bottom of the table. For Bournemouth, that's 3 wins in the last 4 now, so they'll be looking up. And Sheffield United, it's a worrying one against a side that you'd expect them to be competing against. And Luton's win today leaves them now 4 points adrift from safety.
Brilliantly summed up there, Tom. It's a result that's concerning, considering they should be going toe-to-toe with Bournemouth. To Johnny Holmes now. I was going to say to Johnny Holmes, the full-time whistle has just gone between Luton and Crystal Palace. Luton have their result. They have their 3 points. And in his full-time as well, between Nottingham Forest and Brighton, I believe. I think, no, it's not. It's not full-time. We'll go to Duke Donman quickly just to tell us about the Nottingham Forest. Can they get back into it?
They're still pushing, but it's Brighton who just had a very good opportunity to counter. But Murillo, the Nottingham Forest centre-half, managed to get a last-ditch tackle across to stop that counter-attack. But at the minute, it's still very cagey again. Nottingham Forest just can't find that area to pull the trigger and get that equaliser, which they so desperately need at this point.
So close, but yet so far for Nottingham Forest. Let's go to Johnny Holmes now to get the full-time report between Luton and Crystal Palace, and what is a monumental day for the Hatters and their Kenilworth Road faithful for their Premier League season.
Oh, what an amazing result for Luton, and what a crazy finish, because Crystal Palace had a chance right to the death. Elise again popping up, and a great save from the goalkeeper, and down the other end it goes, and Luton could have snatched a third through on goal. It came to, and it came through for Brown again, who got the goal, of course, to give Luton this lead. And the full-time whistle goes, and the sense of relief at Kenilworth Road is incredible. They've got their win. They move out of the bottom 3. What a result. They couldn't have dreamed this one up this morning. Fantastic for Luton, who just about hold on despite all the pressure for 12 long minutes at the end of the game. That finishes the game up at 2-1 to Luton at Kenilworth Road.
The game is still going on between Nottingham Forest and Brighton, Duca. 100 minutes gone. Is this game ever going to end?
I don't know, but Nottingham Forest just had a really, really good chance. It was Yates, and from close range, he had his effort saved by Bartford Bruggen. It was an incredible save from the goalkeeper, and you think that was the chance, sort of to get Nottingham Forest that equaliser, but no, and things are edging sort of towards that Brighton win now. But as it stands, like I say, it is still Nottingham Forest 2, Brighton 3.
And as we leave Duca there, it is 0. It has ended full time. Nottingham Forest 2, Brighton 3. And what a moment it is. And let's go to Duca Dogma to get our full time report there from the City Ground.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's been an incredible game here. Obviously, it was a very early start in the game. 3 minutes in, Anthony Elanga gave Nottingham Forest the lead for a brilliant Morgan Gibbs-White cross. And then Evan Ferguson, just before the half-hour mark, got himself a good bit of space around the edge of the area and found that bottom corner to give Brighton that equaliser. And Brighton just carried on pushing from there on in. And then João Pedro, just before half-time, managed to make it 2-1 to put Brighton in the winning position for the first time in what seemed like a very, very long time for Brighton fans. And then into the second half, Brighton managed to get themselves the penalty thanks to some clumsy defending from Chris Wood, and João Pedro dispatched that brilliantly. And then it all went wrong from Brighton, it seemed, with a penalty being awarded for Nottingham Forest 15 minutes before time. Jack Hinshelwood pulling down a Nottingham Forest player, and then Lewis Dunk getting himself sent off through persistent descent towards the referee. And then Morgan Gibbs-White obviously dispatched a penalty, giving it a very, very cagey end to the game. But Nottingham Forest they'd done everything they could, but could not find that equaliser that they needed. And it ended at the City Ground, Nottingham Forest 2, Brighton and Hove Albion 3.
And finally, to St James's Park now to speak to Matthew Key, where it was a terrible day for Chelsea. A great day for Newcastle, but a lot of questions going to be surrounding Mauricio Pochettino and their men this evening.
Yeah, Chelsea have been so good recently, but not today. It was a brilliant opening first half, with Newcastle taking the lead with Alexander Isak scoring from a Lewis Miley assist, the 17-year-old. So impressive today in his Premier League debut from the start. He set up Isak to make it 1-0. It was then a bit of Raheem Sterling magic that brought Chelsea back into it. A stunning free kick that dipped over and under the wall past Nick Pope. Got Chelsea back on level terms. And at that point, Josh, you thought it could be anyone's game. Chances at both ends plenty, and it looked like it was going to be a thriller throughout. But 1 minute changed everything in the second half. And when Newcastle took the lead once again through Jamal Lascelles, they couldn't have imagined it in their wildest dreams that they'd be celebrating it, making it 3-1. Just 20 seconds later, when Thiago Silva's awful back pass let Joe Linton in, and he slotted away to make it 3-1. It got bad to worse to Chelsea, as Reece James, the captain, was then sent off for a second booking. Discipline a real problem for Chelsea over the afternoon, picking up 7 yellow cards in total, and they'll also miss Marc Cucurella for their next game after picking up his 5th yellow card of the season. And Newcastle were able to add the icing on the cake when Anthony Gordon brilliantly slotted past Sanchez up against 3 Chelsea defenders to make it 4-1. A thoroughly deserved goal from him. He was excellent once again, and really an integral part of this Newcastle side, who, despite their injuries, pick up a fantastic win. And they've had many good days in recent memory, and this will be right up there for them. As for Chelsea, after a couple of good results against Man City and Tottenham, today will be bitterly disappointing for Mauricio Pochettino. It's finished at St James's Park. Newcastle 4, Chelsea 1.
Do you look at this game quickly? What do you say for Chelsea right now, Matthew? Just give us a quick few words on their performance and what you think for them going forward.
Well, as I say, Josh, the first 60 minutes, they were well in the game. They responded really well to going behind where heads could have dropped. They got themselves back into it, and they really pushed to take the lead and could have done. Gallagher had a good chance. Sterling was at the heart of everything good for Chelsea. But they had one shot in the second half, and it wasn't easy for them. But Reece James fired a free kick over, and that was all they had. Those 2 goals in a minute were just lack of concentration after conceding was so poor from their point of view, and it's just something that is unforgivable as a manager, and nothing Mauricio Pochettino has any control over. They've dropped back down to 10th, and they've got to face Brighton next week at Stamford Bridge, which can be a really difficult game for them, and all of a sudden they start to worry after being able to look up for the last couple of weeks. For Newcastle, they can go into next week's big game against Man United full of confidence.
Perfectly summed up there. Thank you, Matthew Key. Let's get some full-time scores from around today's games then. It ended in the Premier League. Manchester City 1, Liverpool 1 earlier on. It ended Burnley 1, West Ham 2. Luton 2, Crystal Palace 1, Newcastle 4, Chelsea 1, Nottingham Forest 2, Brighton 3, Sheffield United 1, Bournemouth 3, and then coming up at 5:30 is Brentford v Arsenal. In the Saudi Professional League, it ended up Al Hazem 0, Al Hilal 9, and earlier on as well, Rayo Vallecano, they drew with Barcelona 1-1. For now, thank you for listening to Football Live. Thank you to my reporters, and thank you to the ever so brilliant John Kane. He's brilliant as the producer, and we will see you tomorrow for Sunday's round of games.
You have been listening to Football Live, produced by John Kane and presented by Josh Bailey. A big thank you to each and every one of our reporters on today's show. Football Live is sponsored by Nairabet and will return tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock with Chris Baldwin.